This is the X&C Podcast, your Xbox newscast, featuring Colteastwood and Mag, hosting industry interviews and gaming talk live on YouTube every Monday night at 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. For all of you listening around the world, X&C Podcast is available on demand on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Welcome to the show. Join the chat, hit the like button, and let's get into this week's topics with the Xbox Newscast.
Go.
What's going on? This is XC Podcast, episode 105. And I took a second to hit the button. Mag was giving me the greatest rant. He is all hyped up for the show. You're juiced, bro. How are you?
Come on, man. I am fantastic, Colton. Listen,
I
shirt of the
forgot.
week.
I didn't hit the right button. Yeah, there you go. There we go. Okay.
Are we live?
There he is. No, we were live. They could hear you.
Oh,
They're
okay.
just looking at a goofy picture of you. Or
Oh,
not
I
you
see
yet.
it.
But now you look great.
Yeah,
I
now
did
it's
this
like
last
YouTube
week.
or whatever.
Yeah.
That's okay. It works now. Listen, I'm excited for the show. We got a lot of things to talk about tonight. Obviously, things are going to be going 100 miles an hour because we got a busy week ahead of us. We got a busy week next week. We got all things to talk about. However, before we even start the show, I wanted to say my shirt of the week is none other than the Toronto Blue Jays. Right here, baby. Riding off a 5-game winning streak. And, of course, I can't help it. I really hope he's listening. Mooch, if you're listening out there, I'm sorry. I had to go get the broom from the closet because we swept the Mets, baby. It's over. It's done. You lost all 3 games to Toronto. Don't come to our house. We'll come to your house, and we'll show you how it's done. Anyways, let's get back into the show. We got a lot of things to talk about. The chat's already going. There's only 450 people here. I expect double that in the next 5 minutes flat. Let's go, people.
I mean, there's 485 people. Like 450 people is amazing. You're talking about the Mets. I wouldn't even talk about baseball on this show, but Mariners got absolutely killed by a couple of their teams lately. But people aren't thinking about baseball right now. They're talking about games. They're thinking about Game Showcase. Before we get rolling in, I did want to talk about. I didn't do this last week. Let me give a shout out to the Patreons and channel member veterans. I've got a great list of people. Mark Carwell, KY, Bob Assassin, Loop Jazzy Noop, Ricky Falon, Matic Master, Jason Lewan, Mo B, Lord Sineater, William Riggs, Matt Burns, William Lanza, Yuzani Kazada, Nanoply Myth, Suicide King, Red Wolf, Robert Jackson, Lord Starkiller, Dante Muda, Betamax, Dark CMF, Gaz. Lost the spot. Reek Havoc, Zener White, Devaro 2 Gaming, V Simcoe, Assassin, Poochie, Dub, Larry Thatcher, Hargy, Johnny TK, Chillin, Raiden, Blade, Computer Perspective, True 77, Rizik for the Biscuit, Micah Ford, Red Source, Dave UK, Quince Harmony, Attitude Ear, Pesky Krogan, Pen Pineapple Pen, Trell Roberts, Neil B, Boba Fett Gaming, Macbound, Meat Puppet, Kung Fu Hot Dog, Xbox International, Alan Deltry, Jedi J Goalie, Gamer by Choice, Rippin, Highlanders, Havoc, and Zimic. And I got to update that list when I get back from LA, but I wanted to start off the show, just for fun, I guess. I just spruced up the overlay with some items from Starfield I'd cut out in Photoshop, painstakingly going around and cutting around the character and cutting them out of the background. And I threw them in there because we're going to talk about Starfield today. We're excited about everything else at Showcase. I'm really, really excited, but I want to talk about playing because I know right now, soon, people can drop into Diablo 4. People have been playing early access. Let me ask Mag. I'll pretend like we didn't ask behind the scenes, but have you played Diablo 4, Mag?
No, I have not played Diablo 4 yet. The FOMO has not attacked me. It hasn't got me just yet. But here's the thing. We talked about this. You're going away. I'm going away at the end of this week. I'm not going to buy something and then just be out of the country for 11 days, right? So it didn't make any sense. So what am I going to do? Stare at the tile while I'm sitting in the terminal, like waiting for my plane? And then I'm going to, and then when I'm going to be sitting on the beach staring at a tile on the app? No, I'm not going to do that. I'll wait till I get back. And then, the other thing is too, by then, now I know that the game is great from what I've heard, the reviews, I've seen people play it, whatever. I've talked to people, obviously, in the community, everything else. But here's the thing. I'm going to wait till the FOMO wears off entirely and then the honeymoon phase, and I'm not talking about like from the casual gamer. I'm talking about never mind. Sorry, I'm talking about the casual gamer that doesn't play Diablo. Like I've never played a Diablo game in my life, but like you got the lunatics out there who know like every detail. They're like, oh, but if you like split the stone and then rub it on a sword, and then this happens, and then all of a sudden you get a buff where like your biceps grow by 2 inches, and then you can like do this. And I'm like, how do you guys know all this stuff? But then you realize these guys have been playing Diablo for like 2 decades, right? So, anyways, the point is. They know what they're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I've never played it before. So I want to hear in about 2 weeks' time, and that includes you, Chet, and everybody listen afterwards. I want you guys to tell me how you like the game after about a couple of weeks now, right? So that by the time I get back and back in the country and settled back into my home, then I will look at it and I'll say, okay, guys, now the honeymoon phase is off. How is it for a newcomer, right? And then I'll be really interested to see how people react and talk to it like that, right? So that'll be cool. And then once I see that, then I can make an educated decision as to whether I'm going to purchase it or wait for down the road when it's eventuality of it showing up in Game Pass or whatever, right? So because that deal's going through, it's just a matter of when.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of big games coming out this summer, and Diablo's one of them. Like, can we wait? Like, a lot of my friends all paid for the early access, and a fun fact, if you game share and your game share partner buys the early access, that expanded content being the early access is not available to you. Gaz paid $100 for the game we Game Pass. I can't, or we game share. I can't even access the game, and I wasn't going to go buy it again. I'm still on the fence. I asked in the chat, I did a poll. I said, which class are you choosing in Diablo? I think there's 4, there might be 5. Sorcerer, Barbarian, Rogue, Necro. It's like, well, I think it sounds so nerdy when you say it. I'm thinking of the source of the barbecue source. But I was making fun of my friends are having so much fun. I have zero FOMO for Diablo. I'm like, one of our good friends, MacBound, says, hey, Colt, I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch the show tonight because Diablo drops. I'm like, Mac, you can press X 1,000 times while you're watching the show. You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
We talked about that. Actually, I was in that thread too on Twitter. Yep. And then I'm like, you're more than happy. Well, I'm more than happy that you could play the game, but guess what? You're playing the game after the XNC show. No excuses. I'm like, you're not playing during. You're not playing before. You're going to play after. You're going to sit down. You're going to listen to the show, watch the show, do whatever you got to do, clean your house. Okay, make your bed, cut the lawn, whatever you got to do. You're going to do all that stuff while you're listening to the show, and then when you're done, then you could turn on your console, and then you can play the game. Okay, the game will be there. Just get that other stuff done first, and of course, the top priority is of course XNC. So we'll take it from there.
Top priority, and if you have to level up, put some kibble on your controller and have your dog just nibble away by the X button, and you'll get leveled up on Diablo. It's that simple. I got to give a shout out to KJ Wars 85 for becoming a channel member. Hit the join button, and he's able to get that. He's got the Ori picture. So it says welcome to early access. I think he should have the Joanna Dark, but I don't know. It doesn't matter. But welcome to him. Hargy Johnny's got a super that starts us with our next great topic. Before we're gonna jump right into the nasty and messy stuff. But Hargy Johnny gets our next topic. He says, "Thank you for the super, Hargy." He says, "Who's ready to drop $3,500 for the Apple Vision Pro headset? Anyone? He says, no. Meg, let's hear your editorial.
Okay. Oh my God! Please, let me just listen. For anybody out there, right, exactly, right. For anybody out there who wants to talk about Sony and the PlayStation being the exclusive masters when it comes to scumbaggery, you have to stand back in awe of Apple and their arrogance. It is beyond words. You're about to release a $3,500 American headset, which I could buy a Kia. Okay, I could buy a car with that. It's like $5,000. It's $5,500 Canadian. Okay, are you out of your mind? The amount, and then on top of it, it operates with Apple apps and products, and like I can't even start. It's like you're locked into the ecosystem. And then I was talking about my brother about it because he's an Apple cuck, right? So he was just like, you don't need a. And I'm like, yeah, I know you don't need. Okay, translation. What that means to me is you don't need an Apple computer. You don't need a Mac or anything to run it. It runs independently. Yeah, that's cool, right? It runs independently. However, in order to operate it, look, there you go. You want some ice?
I just thought it was funny. They had the girl, like they zoomed in, like you were supposed to be so impressed with this tech, and I don't know if anybody will get this reference, but she had the goggles. It reminds me of the nerdy kid. I'm sorry, we're Gen Xers, but it was the nerdy kid in the department store in the Christmas Story that was waiting for Santa Claus, and he was wearing like the flight goggles, and he's like, "I like Santa." I mean, she was like.
And she had these, she looked ridiculous. And the smile she had, she looked like Jack Nicholson. You know when he put the makeup on in the first Batman movie, when he put the human makeup on and he was like this? And then everybody at the table, all the mobsters are going, "What's the matter with you, Jack? Why are you smiling like that?" And he's like, I just smiling like that. She looks like the Crypt Keeper wearing a headset on. Anyways,
I mean, somebody told me that the HoloLens was like a $2,500 thing when it dropped, and no one was buying it. But as far as I remember, the HoloLens from Microsoft wasn't. I think it was available to the public, but nobody in the public was buying it. So
no, so anyway, back to the thing. Yeah, my brother's like, well, it's translation from his bibbity boppity boop stuff because I wasn't listening to him. But he was just like, it doesn't require any Apple hardware in order to run this thing. I'm like, yeah, okay. He goes, it runs independent. I'm like, yeah, but when you turn it on, you have to run it with Apple apps and their programs.
Of course.
And I'm like, so you need the Apple's, like, it's not like Android where you can access everything, or even the MetaQuest or whatever. You can access pretty much everything. And then that turned into a whole war, right, about that thing. And I'm like, dude, it's not even close. And so my other brother jumped in and he saw that it was 67% of the world uses Android. So, I mean, the arrogance of this product is just beyond belief. I mean, no one's gonna buy this thing. Listen, if you want VR to actually make a splash in this world, you got to have it 1/3 of that price. The tech has got to be there. It's got to be 1/3 of the price, and it's got to be accessible everywhere. Otherwise, what is the point?
I want to move off of the Apple Vision, but I've got a $20 alternative to the Apple Vision.
Yeah,
remember
there it is.
They sell those hats with like a strap and you stick your phone in there.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, poor Apple. Whatever. I mean, that thing just probably won't go. But I want to talk about Aaron Greenberg's tweets that blew up yesterday. Aaron just decided, you know what? Why do I have to keep my mouth shut? I want to talk about Summer Games Fest as that comes first, but that might have to wait because I know people are excited to hear about what Aaron said. One of the first things he said that was total shade, because we're coming off of the obvious PlayStation showcase where they did not deliver first party showcasing. They didn't deliver a lot of gameplay. They didn't deliver what the fans have been waiting 2 years for. And it sounds like Xbox has quite a bit to deliver. One of the first things he said was, I can confirm there will be no movie or TV show trailers in our games show.
Smart ass. Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty funny. I mean, hey, you know what? All's fair in love and war. And if you're going to do this, you might as well just do it. Right. I mean, that's the same kind of shot. Maybe not, that doesn't hit as hard, but it still is the same kind of shot that this is how we share games. Right? You remember that whole thing back in 2013? Yeah. And then they filmed that thing, and then they did it the next day after Xbox had their showcase. And they're like, this is how we share games. And then they just hand it to it. Yeah. That whole thing, that was basically the Aaron Greenberg 2023 version of that. Right? So, you know what?
Yeah.
You got to do that, though, Colt. You got to do that. You can't, if someone makes a misstep, you have to jump on it. You have to be on top of these things. You can't delay. You got to hit, you got to strike while the iron's hot. It's like when I do my parody videos. My parody videos are not from like, someone said something a month ago. It's something that's trending that very minute. And then all of a sudden I'm like, bink. And then all of a sudden the light bulb goes off in my head. And I'm like, I got to drop this video. So then I do my thing, and then I do a funny video, and it all correlates, right? Aaron Greenberg basically just did a Pony Master 420. So he did the same thing. As soon as they drop the ball, Yeah. He's like, as soon as someone dropped the ball, he was there to pick it right up and did what he had to do.
Yeah, and everyone thought that PlayStation was super bold for going first, and I guess it's bold if you have something to back it up. But I thought it's always better to go afterwards, because the Xbox can't change their showcase, but they were able to do a reactive and preemptive strike like that by saying no. Well, I mean, somebody did ask straight up to Aaron. They said, "Are you guys going to have any movie trailers or TV trailers?" And Aaron said
that's true.
That tweet.
Someone mentioned that, yeah.
Someone did bring it up, but Aaron's tweet thread went on for about 30, 40, 45 minutes. It was great. He said, quote, "No plans to tease, temper, or spoil anything. Love seeing all the wild expectations. My advice, just come with an open-minded and come in open-minded and enjoy the ride. Before I talk about some of the other things he said, the other day, Aaron's been tweeting, like, they're getting excited. Like, they've been working really hard on Showcase. And he tweeted out that picture of him, Major Nelson, and Jeff Rubenstein in front of a cafe about to have lunch. The cafe was called Vegetable or Vegetable in the Microsoft offices. And all it said was able. You couldn't see the rest of the word. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, he's teasing Fable. And this, the day before, this is also from last week's news that we didn't talk about because it happened after X&C, but this after Xbox did the glitter thing. I'm sure you've talked about the glitter tweet on other shows because you've been on shows this past week, but they tweeted out that trail of glitter that went to the monitor of the Xbox Showcase, and one of the glaring things was that Fable-esque music. Meg, what was your response when you saw that?
Come on, you don't tease something like that if you're going to disappoint. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to tease the music, fairy dust, you know what I mean, with a trail leading over to the monitor, and then all of a sudden they're going to leave, and we're going to show you an independent show about deers running around smashing their heads into whatever the hell.
Independent machines.
Into the vending machines. They're not going to do that. Listen, if you're showing fairy dust, if you're playing the music, you're going to show something Fable. Now, someone did say something, and I'm like, you know what? It would be kind of funny if they did do this. And like, what if it's just like a remaster of the original Fable, or like something like that to tide people over until the thing? And I'm like, dude, if they do that, they're going to burn Los Angeles to the ground. Like, it's literally just going to there's going to be a huge crack. And then, you know what's going to happen? The entire, all of LA is going to sink into the ocean, just like that movie, 2012? And they're all going to sink in there, subways flying in the air, and all that stuff. And that's what's going to happen if they do that. Listen, you got to show Fable. You got to show Fable proper. You do not make a tease like that if it's not going to happen. So listen, it's happening. And the thing is, it's got to happen. It's got to happen. You've got to have you got to be able to overshadow everything that's coming this spring. I'm talking about in terms of like news.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because I turned around and made a video about all the little teases going on with Xbox leadership and Xbox marketing teams. And I thought, what if the social media team did the glitter thing leading on? It's the Stardust glitter leading to the monitor. And they said, we need some mysterious, curious music. And that's normally the plucking strings, like the Disney style, like do 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 do. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's totally Fable. And what if they're like, oh crap, everyone thinks it's Fable. Now, you talked about the two avenues, Mag, where either they know they have to show Fable, or they're like, we're good, we have the Fable Anniversary Edition. I want to talk about the Fable Anniversary Edition. It's been kind of a pipe dream or like a wish list of fans. I've never heard anything from any official sources that it exists or that it's being worked on. Keep in mind, a run-on sentence, that Fable 3 runs at 4K 60 on Xbox Series X, and Fable 2 runs at 4K 30, and Anniversary Edition might be 4K 30. So they're not quite up to snuff.
And they look, no, not quite, but they look great. I saw someone playing it the other day because I can't remember who it was. They were doing a live stream saying, you know what, I'm going to catch up on some of the Fable stuff because I haven't gotten into it. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, this looks pretty damn good.
Which one was it?
Like,
2
it still holds. It was
3?
1, and it was 1, and I'm like, it still looks pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm like, in my mind, once I saw that, I'm like, I know obviously I understand it's 2 different companies entirely, but I'm like, after seeing that, I'm like, can you imagine what this new one's gonna look like? Like, it's going to be remember the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Indiana Jones, and all the Nazis' faces melted off when they opened up the Ark of the Covenant.
That end of that part of the end.
Like, they open up the thing and they're like, Marion, don't look at it. And all their faces. I mean, that's what's going to happen.
I mean, Playground's going to make something really great. Let me just justify that I don't think that Fable collection is coming, because Fable Anniversary is like the 10-year anniversary of the first game, so it's already sort of been remastered. Fable 2 could use some work. Fable 3 just got up-res in performance, so I don't think that's coming, but I will say that if that's the Fable we get in 2023 show and that's it, is a collection announcement, I'm going to be so mad.
You know what? I think that an announcement of that thing could be supplementary to the announcement, or not the announcement, the reveal of actual Fable, right? So like show us the Fable, and then as a supplementary item, tag on there and say, and in the meantime, while you wait, fans, we have a special treat for you to catch up on some of the lore and the story and the world of Fable with the trilogy remastered, a remastered trilogy, or even even like a I can't say soft remake because you can't soft remake these games. It's going to be like a remaster, reskin, whatever you want to do, in Unreal Engine 5, and then it'll be released in Game Pass in the fall or something. I don't know, whatever. Or
if they were actually rebuilding or restructuring those games in a new engine, it also makes sense to do a Fable collection because then you can get them on PC. Like we'll talk about it, another game as well like that, but. I didn't mean to come all the way into the Fable discussion right away, but we're going to have to kind of be fluid and bounce around here because there's a lot to talk about. But I want to talk about where Fable is since we're on that discussion, because last year at PAX, July 2022, take your mind back to 11 months ago or 12 months ago, when Matt Booty was doing a on-stage interview with, she goes by Bomber on Twitter, but Brittany, forgive me for not remembering her full name. Brittany did this interview with Matt Booty, and he said, "I wish I could show you Fable." Like he was saying in the interview, what I've seen, I want to show the world, but Playground won't let me. Now,
I remember that.
The reason why I bring that up is because last summer or last early spring, whenever he saw Fable, I think he talked about when he was over there, he wanted to show them what they had. He wanted to show the world. So what's the possibility of an entire year now is Playground Games RPG Studio ready to show, Mag? Do you think
they have to? What the hell? Yeah, I mean, 12 months? Come on, man. And it's not like they've got a small studio they're working with here, right? It's not like 5 or 6 people sitting around, It's like, you guys want some lattes? I'll go grab some stuff. No, there's like 1,000. How many people are over there? There's a lot. Isn't there like 500 or something?
I don't know. They're hiring all the time. I think there's at least 300 people working at Playground's RPG Studio.
I thought it was, or maybe I'm mixing it up with Rare. I don't know. One of the studios is huge, anyways, and I thought it was Playground. But anyways, they have hundreds of people. Either way, 12 months is a long time.
Playground as a whole, but as far as I know.
Sorry, the team.
The RPG team is in a different building, so
yes, okay. The
team and they're cross-pollinating, of course. Yeah.
Ooh, like bees. Okay, sounds very good.
The Zone in the chat says Fable series flopped. Laughing my A off. No, it didn't. But thank you for stopping by the show. We really appreciate it.
Listen, when you said, here's what happened, guys. Brittany that he was talking about, and they were talking about, it is confirmed here. It is confirmed now on the XNC show in front of 1.2 thousand people here. It was Britney Spears has played the new Fable,
gosh.
and she's going to show up on stage during the Xbox Game Showcase. She's going to sing a song, and then she's going to show Fable, and she's going to come out and tell everybody with Keanu Reeves that everybody's breathtaking. Confirmed here on XNC. That's right. You heard it here first, folks. Carry on, Colt.
Now I got to look up her name because of you.
Britney Spears. I just told you.
Oh my gosh, it's right here and it covers it up in the results. No, it's not Britney Spears. It is Brittany Brombacher. So yeah, I should have her on the show. She can come do the show with us sometime, Mag. Anyway,
of course, anytime. And I will not call her Britney Spears.
Derailed for a minute there, but yeah, Fable is Unreal Engine or Forza Tech. Sorry, Forza Tech, Unreal Engine. Playground makes amazing stuff. Hopefully, I don't know. I just imagine Forza Horizon 4 with exaggerated like plants and trees and bursts of color. I can't wait. And I really hope that, I don't know, when you reboot a series like that, you got to think, it's been 20 years or it's been 15 years. What do we do? And you got to like kind of crank it up.
I could just picture it being so rich in not only just the visuals, just like rich in like the depth of like the colors, the graphics, the world, the lore, being able to just walk around and seeing like crickets in the grass. Like I could just picture all these crazy things, and I'm just like, this is something else. Like this is going to be something else. And And I love that. Like open worlds like that feel alive, that truly feel alive. That's where I really, I wrap my head around it, and it's hard for me to get out of it, right? And then all of a sudden, I'm just sort of like zoned into this world. And that's why I don't like to play multiple games at once, because I like to be enveloped into the experience that I'm being a part of, right? So that when I'm done playing and I go back into the real world, which sucks most of the time, but it's not actually the life is great. It's the people around it. Anyways, the point is that you think about it and you're like, oh man, I walked by that barn and looks like there was a window I was able to get into. Maybe tonight when I go back home, I'm going to see if I can like throw my latch and see if I can climb through that window. Maybe there'll be something inside. You know what I'm saying?
From what I remember, I just played through 3 and I was messing around with 2 and 1 this past early spring, late winter. And what I remember, like there wasn't a whole lot of interactivity with the world. You basically walk through pathways of the open world, and
right.
Yes,
I remember that. Yeah.
And
I don't think that's the case, brother.
I would hope that they're really opening that up, but it's going to be interesting to see them take the Forza Tech engine and make those RPG elements work in that game. That's going to be really, really cool. We got what are we at? We've got 13, almost 1,400 people watching live. Thank you so much to the XNC podcast. If you're just checking in, Mag is here. Well, where is he? Yeah, he's right over here. Mag, Middle-Aged Game Guy, is here. He's my co-host. I'm the host. We're trying our best to do a great show. We're live on YouTube. We also have this show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, on demand. Timestamps go up, like all the nice things that make it a warm, fuzzy blanket for you. But hit the like button if you're having a good time. We're going to go through all of the studios, all of the leaks, and Aaron Greenberg's tweets discussing what to expect from the game showcase, because we're just 6 days away. Oh my gosh, 6 days away. So let me go to a couple of supers here. Trail Roberts, thank you for the super. He gives 2 of them. He says, Diablo 4 is amazing. And he says, I'm not a Diablo fan. I've heard people are being won over. He also says, Street Fighter 6 is also amazing. That's another game I was playing a little bit, and I got to tell you.
Yeah, how is it?
I haven't played Street Fighter in a long time outside of Street Fighter 4 at the end of the 360 era, and that game has not changed a bit in its regular modes. Like, it just has not changed much, and I think for diehard Street Fighter fans, they'll be really happy, and the game's reviewing really, really well.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah. So we've got... DC Walk said he joined the club, but he has no access to emojis. You should, unless it's a glitch on YouTube's end, but I drew those emojis, and people don't often use them in the chat, but they are right here. I'm going to knock them through here. Let me read this next super chat while I multitask. Hold on, I'm almost done clicking, and there they are. You should have access to them under the emoji button. I don't know. I'm too old for this stuff. I don't understand technology. I'm just kidding. Where are we at? Oh, Maya Kong. Thank you so much for the super. Says, hi to Colt and his lackey, Professor X. Love you guys.
Professor X. That's right. You know what? The thing is, be careful with someone like Professor X. I can get into your brain, okay? And then make you do ridiculous things. And then all of a sudden, I'll make you rob banks for me. And then you get arrested, and I take the money. Mike Clark, I saw what you said. You're treading on thin ice, son. Sorry, Mike Clark was like, Mag talking
Call him out.
we were talking about Fable, and he's like, Mag talking about things that won't happen. And I'm like, hey, we don't know. We don't know what's gonna happen in that game. And you know what? You know what we're gonna find out this Sunday.
I'm also excited. Forgot to say there's a rumor that some of the combat is like Witcher, and that made some people mad. But if you take a moment to get into that combat, it gets really, really good. Sometimes you can just slash and burn. But we'll see. I think
we'll see it first. You know what I'm saying? Before we go nuts and start attacking each other and going crazy and speculating like nuts till our heads fall off, let's see what they show us first. And then from there, we'll say, you know what? You know what I mean? And then we take it from there, right? And then we'll say, all right, now we can run with this ball. And then we can say, all right, I like this. I don't like this. I like this. I don't like this. The direction or whatever. It's going to be hard because if they do show us anything, you know it's going to be short and sweet. But that's fine with me. Just show me what I'm doing and show me what the thing looks like.
That's another thing I want to talk about. Okay, so I did a poll a few minutes ago that I just ended that said, do you think the Fable collection exists? And I think 64% believe it exists. I'm starting to poll right now. Will Fable 4, we'll call it, appear at Xbox Game Showcase, XGS? And then that poll is going to be out there for you guys to vote on. I want to talk about, there's one more thing with Fable. Oh, yes, let's talk about the expectation. Since you brought up the next part of the Fable discussion is what can they show, what is okay. I want to start this off by saying I think Fable is a full year to almost two full years away, but I'm leaning more to latter half of 2025. And as I've said on the show many times, Xbox says the months or the 12 months before the game comes out, that's when they show gameplay because that's when it's polished and ready, and they don't show it early enough when it looks crappy. So if Fable is coming out sometime in mid 2025 or later, we won't see gameplay, in my opinion, until next E3. But yes. Mag, would you be okay if they have a small CGI cinematic? No, scratch that. Let me just say it this way because I don't think they're going to do that. Would you be okay, Mag, if Playground Games shows you a very brief 2-minute in-engine trailer that flies over and shows you what the game actually looks like in-engine?
Yes, I'm fine with that. I don't want to see cinematics because we already saw a cinematic of a fairy flying around and a frog gator, right? We already saw that. We don't need to see that again because that's the same as watching a Pixar trailer. I'm like, all right, it's a Pixar trailer for some crappy Pixar movie because they're no longer good. Anyways, but
all
you know what I'm
I get
saying?
is tone from that. That's all I get is tone. It's not enough.
Yeah, it's not enough. You got to show me what the game looks like in game. That's it. You don't have to go into deep dive. You don't have to show me this, that, and the other thing. I don't need all these mechanics. Show me what I'm going to be playing, even if it's 10 seconds. And that goes for a lot of things. We're going to discuss this later on in the show. About how my personal feelings about how revealing reveals should be. For me personally, I'm not going to speak. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You'll understand what I'm saying when we get into that later. But, for me personally, I only need about 10, 15 seconds of something. And I'd be like, you know what? That looks hot. Or that doesn't look hot. Or that's not my jam. Or that's my jam. Right? Or maybe that's one of those, I'll wait for Game Pass and I'll just try it. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. I've got something to say on that. I want to give a shout out to Red Wolf for gifting a channel membership to Colin Prime in the chat. I was actually able to see that. So thank you, Red Wolf. That's very nice of you. I know it sounds goofy, but stay with me, chat and Mag and audience watching, 1,300 of you. Isn't it nice to at least see something in-engine, in-game, how it actually looks, so that you can share that, post that, talk about that, brag about that, guess of what the game could be like, having something tangible. Like, for me to show a frozen screen of the Tinkerbell trailer that Mag was talking about doesn't really do us any good as fans getting excited or trying to explain to people what this game is going to be like or what it'll look like. But I feel like it's really important so if you're here watching the show, if you are on forums or you're on social media, you watch podcasts or you do podcasts, like you care about this stuff, right, Mag? If you're here, I think you understand me that you like having a tangible in-engine thing that shows you what the game's going to look like. Even if it can't have gameplay, you can at least use that to say, this is Fable. Am I right or am I fraud?
No, you're absolutely right. And the thing is, I mean, in my eyes, not everybody's going to agree with us. But in my eyes, I believe that's the same thing. Listen, I don't live and breathe gaming 24/7. I have a lot of things to do in my life. And so when you give me a snippet of something, then it stores into the memory going, hot damn, that looked good. Can't wait to play it. We'll talk about it during the shows. We'll talk about it during my other shows, my guest appearances, whatever, right? Throughout the year, throughout the 2 years that it'll take. I still think it'll take 2 years. And you know what? That's not that unfair to do something like that. Because, for example, Rockstar. Rockstar, from the proper announcement of the game, when they show a little bit of the game, it's usually within 1.5 to 2 years that it releases, right? I see Fable doing the same thing. So, yeah, I could see that being like a fall 2025 title, or there's no way. I don't think it's going to be 2024. So let's go 2025. Anyway, that being the case, all right. That being the case, I just need a little piece of action that I can just say, hey, that looks amazing.
Just a little piece of action.
Just a little piece. Just a little bit. Just a little bit of something. Come on, we're not going to go down that road, Colt. So, anyways, this is the thing. I just want to, give me wet my beak a little bit. That's all I want to see. All right, wet my beak. Just want to see what's going on. All right, and then from there I go like, That looks amazing. Can't wait to play it. Let's speculate and talk about it, whatever, here and there, and just have some fun with it. And that's it. You don't need to do anything else. You don't need to tell me about...
Speaking of wetting your beak, Aaron Greenberg also said on Twitter that he said, quote, I'd bring an extra pair of underwear in that case. Now, is he talking about if you have an accident in the back or in the front?
I don't know what he's talking about. Listen, love the guy. He's a great guy. He's really into the community, but he's got to calm down a little bit, all right? Like, we're gonna give him some Valium and say, listen, dude, your head's gonna explode before the show starts. Just chill out. When the show happens, then you're gonna go nuts. And then you light the fireworks and do whatever you got to do. Go on the stage, have Phil up there with Motley Crue, like pyrotechnics blowing off over his head. Keanu Reeves dropping from the ceiling on wires. Whatever you want to do, okay? But like, I don't know what he's talking about. I have no clue. But here's the thing: I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I have not been paying attention to the people that have the Xbox shows leaked. And this and that. We have all the details. I don't care. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. You know why? Because, I mean, mind you, like I said, I'm out of the country and I'm going to be on vacation with the family. However, there's going to be an hour and a half point or 2 hour point of that vacation on Sunday where I'm going to be sitting back with a big cigar in a cabana with my tablet and a huge beer, probably about this big. And I'm going to sit there and watch the game show, right? Or the showcase, right? And I'm going to sit there and watch. I don't want to know about it ahead of time. I don't want spoilers. No. I don't want to know any of this stuff. I will speculate, but I don't want to know anything else. They're like, oh, well, Rand said this. Well, that's fine. That's great. But I want to sit down and watch the show.
Rand's not going to be in the Dominican Republic on a beach chair,
Well, he might be. He might be.
In his mind.
I don't know. You never know.
So
I'm gonna call him. Yes, when I'm down there.
Anyways, we're on the air. One of the other quotes that Aaron said was, and boy, this was the big one. He said, I mean, the other one was really big when he said that he doesn't want us to temper expectations. Like, that was pretty massive because he's done that a couple times in the past. And I was looking back on last year's show, and the 12-month thing was a problem for a lot of people, but Redfall looked good at the opening. Like, it looked really good. And 15 minutes of Starfield book ending was great. And there was the Hot Wheels expansion for Forza was wonderful. Like, that show was pretty dang good. But then after you get out and realize those games just aren't making the mark, that's what upset people. So that's the hindsight. But this time, Aaron said that he won't temper expectations or ask us to, which is good. And Sarah Bond's been like hype and games and tweeting like that. So his last quote that I'm going to read is, quote, none of our first-party games in the show are full CGI trailers. Everything is either in-game footage, in-engine footage, or in-game footage with a mix of cinematics. Each of our trailers will be labeled, so it'll be hopefully clear for our fans, close quote. And everybody read that like, oh, no CGI. And that's exactly what they mean. For their first party, which is under their direct control, I've been talking to a lot of people and some important people about how us, the fans, and you, the chat, and the audience listening to the show, thank you so much for being here, about how the fans don't like just CGI. Like, it is passé. It's out of fashion. It's not satisfying to see just CGI. And someone pretty high up asked me, what if we have a little bit of CGI and then we go into gameplay? And I'm like, we love perfect. That. I said, we love that because we get the tone, and then we get to see what it's really like. Like, those things are cool. And so with Aaron saying, as I look at the quote again, we will have a mix of in-game, in-engine, or in-game with cinematics. And then the last part that not a lot of people talked about, Mag, was everything will be labeled. I got to look back at it again. Our trailers will be labeled so it is hopefully clear for our fans, because how many times have we watched a trailer and we're like, that ain't in-game, or that's not in-engine, that's totally pre-rendered, that's CGI. I mean, it was built on a computer, it'll never run in the game. You'll never see that moment in the game. Ubisoft does it to great extent. We see really beautiful pre-rendered stuff that sets the tone, and you're like, that's not the game. So what I think will happen is we will get little subtitles at the bottom when footage is up explaining if that's CGI or in-engine or gameplay. And I was asked, what if you see gameplay but it's not from the perspective of the player? Like, do you need to have the HUD up when you see somebody, going after an enemy or something and it's actually in gameplay? Do they need to see the HUD to prove that it's gameplay? And I said, no. We don't like the HUD. Like, we like to see it like totally clean, but we know, right? I'm kind of speaking for the fans, right? We know when we see something that's gameplay, we don't need to see the HUD to know it's gameplay. We know that it's not, you can tell when it's CGI, right? So I think that's where we're sitting, which is pretty cool.
Here's the thing, and the sentiment in the chat is pretty much the same. By the way, apparently Mike Clark is going to be watching the show naked, so there's no need for underwear. So Aaron, you lost. Okay, the fans have spoken. I've heard more than one person say, I'm just going to watch it naked. So anyways, here's the maybe I'll do the same thing. Maybe I'll go to the nude beach. Anyhow, here's the thing.
just the tablet CGI. Keeping you modest, There we go.
Have to be a really big tablet. Anyways, here's the thing. So I didn't say anything. Anyhow, here's
somebody
the thing.
threw their voice. Yeah.
It
was Mike.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So here's the thing. CGI is fantastic for setting the tone. Okay? It's setting the tone. So I think that they should start all trailers like that. Set the tone, where you are, what's the environment, what are the story beats, what's happening, who's the protagonist, all that kind of stuff, right? You set the tone. And then from there, bang, then you jump right into, and this is what you're doing. And it only needs to be 30 seconds. It could be 45 seconds, whatever you want to do, a minute at most. That's enough to sell you on the story and the setting and the tone and the protagonist, like I just said, and the story beats. If you've done all that, right? So you know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and all that kind of stuff, and why we need a hero like you. And then show the hero like you. Then show you. Or presumably what you're gonna look like and what you're gonna be doing. That's all you need to do. So yes, a combination of both is a fantastic idea, and I think that and I think that the transparency of having this is CGI, this is that. But the thing is, I've noticed some people in the chat have been saying, not some, a lot of people in the chat. Now we're at 1,400 people plus, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying we want. Yes, thank you guys, and a lot of people want to see playing on a Series X. Because, people, PC players, sure, there are going to be a lot of PC players that are tuning into the show. I get it, all right? But there are going to be a hell of a lot more Xbox players tuning in to the Xbox showcase.
I would think the majority would be Xbox console fans, yeah.
That's right. So I want to see what I'm playing with that big old box back there. Okay? And you, and everybody else in that chat. We all own a Series X or a Series S. Right? We want to see what we're going to be playing, not what somebody on a $4,000 PC is playing. That's the key to all this. So
I want to speak on expectations I want to speak on those expectations for how it's supposed to look on Xbox Series consoles, because I talked to some people about how in the final months before a game comes out, that's typically when they polish in the console port of a game. So typically, last year when they showed Forza Motorsport, they were showing it on a PC, but they were showing it on a PC, sir. Oh my gosh, I got my PC. It's a great time to crack my voice. They were showing that game running on a PC, but Turn 10 had set it to mimic the Xbox Series X settings on purpose because they weren't ready to show it running on Series X last year and during the developer direct. So I talked to some people pretty high up about how, can you at least say, do you typically show that at Series X settings when you show on PC? And what I was told is developers typically don't like to show a $4,000 build run of the game because it's bitting them in the rear end. Biting them, biting them. What's the past tense of bite? That's bit them in the rear end. Because
I'm just making up.
It happened.
I'm making up that. Mr. J, there was no fake laugh. Those are real laughs. Anyways, I think Bitium, because we're just going to make up words as we go along.
Never once has Mag fake laughed. Right?
Never.
So, never once. Hey, Mag, don't laugh at this. Woo! See?
That's real. That's how I laugh in the real world.
Har, har. Hardy, har, har. So, back in 2015, CD Projekt Red did it again. They did it again. In 2015, they showed Witcher 3 on like super high PC settings. And everyone's like, that's not what it's gonna look. I ain't want to look like they don't show you they dang on internet. Clickety click click click. So,
is that how they spoke?
No, that's shout out to Boomhauer from King of the Hill. If anybody's super old, but oh yeah, dang on it. CD Projekt Red showing those games running real high setting. Ain't nobody got no PC like that, and he might not got a PC. So they did the same thing with Cyberpunk. They kind of they showed the game run on a really great PC. And then when the PS4 versions were shown and the Xbox One and even Xbox Series X and PS5, it kind of bit them. So most developers, that was I apologize. That was a really long tangent to say Xbox's studios have typically decided to show the game at Xbox Series X target because let's be honest, those games still look pretty darn good. It's just performance issues or whatever, right? So
sure, yeah.
To get to the point, I asked if they are going to say shown running on a PC or game shown running at Xbox Series X settings. Now, I pleaded and begged in my own way. I'm like, if that's your target, you really need to say that. If you can't show a game running on Series X, you really need to show on the bottom of the screen running at Xbox Series X settings, and the fans will be happy about it. They may split hairs that it's not actually running on a console, but I think it's super important. Mag, what do you think about that? You think that's too much techno babble?
No, not at all. You're basically saying exactly what I'm saying, and what the chat is basically saying is that you want the transparency of what we're going to be playing, because the majority of the people watching the show are the ones who are going to be playing on console, right? And present company included. I'm not playing it on any of these games on PC. Okay, I don't have a PC powerful enough to do that. I could, but I'm not a PC player. I'm not interested in the game. I'm not interested in moving sliders all around and all this nonsense for every single game. I just want to turn it on, click on the tile, and get going. You know what I mean? Because I got stuff to do. All right,
you can literally I'm not messing just around. Set your resolution and set a frame rate target, and then back out of the settings. But yeah, I get you.
I don't want to sit there and fart around with like
half the time.
Mesh shaders and this and that and blah, 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 blahs and frame rates and this and that. Just click the button and let's get going, because the mag is busy. I got things to do, okay? I'm a businessman. I don't have time to fart around with this stuff. Anyways, the point is, I'm just joking. I just love ribbing the PC guys because they get so angry. They're almost as angry as like the bronies and the Nintendo guys.
They get so mad. Red Monkey Butt says, Colt's going to give the showcase an F if it's not all Xbox gameplay. I would think that the majority of first-party showings, some 12 games from first-party that make an appearance at the show, will have actual in-engine or gameplay footage. I think there's a couple games that aren't ready that they'll give us a nice teaser. But when they say a mix of, let me go back to that quote very quickly, just that one part. Everything is either in-game footage, in-engine footage, or in-game with cinematics. So that doesn't always mean gameplay. I'm seeing you on an older playthrough just going like this because I had to catch up the I can't remember. I think you were talking about PC. So no, I expect about over half of the first party stuff to actually have gameplay in the trailers. Sure. How about that? Yeah. And we're gonna break down everything that is possibly showing. Like we said, nothing is really leaked. I think people have talked about stuff is leaked, like a listing of the showcase leaked the other day, but I haven't seen it. I haven't looked. I actually don't believe it exists. Also, let me say really quickly that Xbox did not send out their listing to influencers because those influencers showed their buddy, and their buddy showed somebody, and that buddy leaked it, and then there they were. So I got a couple supers here from Angry Hippie, who says, with a 5, thank you, Angry. He says, no one is dropping that much glitter in their house if there's not a meaning behind it. And I feel sorry for whoever cleaned up that glitter. I don't know how you do it. Do you vacuum it? Do you
I don't know.
Sticky slime? Or I don't know how you get it out of carpet. Like, it's terrible.
I don't know. It sounds like a nightmare.
We'll start a cleaning podcast, and we'll talk about exactly how they'll tackle that glitter. David Kirchhoff, thank you so much for the €6. Says, would like a comeback of Cameo and Viva Pinata. Catch the rest of the show later. It's late here in the Netherlands. And thank you so much for being here from far away. And, my ancestors come from that part of the planet, so that's pretty awesome. We're going to talk about Viva Pinata in a little bit. Red Wolf says, Love it. Love it. Love it. Can't wait for the showcase. Yes, me too, Red. King X Leonidas, thank you for the 2, says, Aaron Greenberg's tweets has me excited and curious. And like we said earlier, we've been wondering if we have to temper expectations. Aaron, Sarah, like the whole team, Stein, the social media team is getting excited, getting people pumped. Hardy Johnny pumps us up with a $10 super chat. Thank you, buddy. He says, creative director Brian Ethar. Oh no, Spider-Man 2 release date. Oh no. Okay, let me redo this again because he had a small typo, and I do have a brain. I can work with this. Creative director Brian Ethar on Spider-Man 2 release date said, it's really just making sure that we're really confident that when we announce the date, we're going to hit it. And he asks, will it make 2023? Mag, will Spider-Man 2 make that 2023 date?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I don't know when.
I think
I still stand firm. I still stand firm that they're waiting for the Call of Duty release date because they got marketing for Call of Duty. You don't want to cannibalize your own game.
I mean, you think they're releasing Spider-Man close to November because maybe they have a 1 to 2 month flux that they're working with.
Well, look at you got Starfield in September, right? You've got Call of Duty. You've got Call of Duty presumably in October-ish. Yes. Or November. So I think they're waiting till everything is nailed down because this is their only hand. That's the only card they've got to play with, right? It's not like they've got like 3 big titles this fall. And they're like, whatever. Throw Spider-Man here. It'll do fine. And then, we'll clean up on the back end of there. We're going to
Final Fantasy
release
in July, right? And then
they're but I'm talking in the fall.
Until September, October. Yeah.
So in the fall, they got 1 card to play. I mean, I know Call of Duty is not theirs, but they got the marketing for that. So they could count that as half a card because let's face it, the majority of the Call of Duty sales, half, my God, what am I saying? Like 80% of the Call of Duty sales are on PlayStation, right? So, right. And so you look at that, so you push that aside. So you're like, all right, well, I think they're going to wait for, you got Starfield and then Call of Duty and then somewhere either in between or after you put Spider-Man. But until they nail down that Call of Duty date and they announce the game proper, then you're going to get a Spider-Man thing. I don't think there's any conspiracy around this. I really don't think there's anything. I think the game is ready to go. It's Insomniac. I don't understand how their vertebrae aren't broken because, man, these guys have been carrying that company for the last couple of years. They released, 4 games? Yep. 4 games in 3 years for the PS5. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh, 4 games.
Holy, yeah. They're like, please, sir, let us have a rest. And they're like, you will not have a rest and you will not have any pudding for dessert. Get back to work, sir.
Fingers hurt.
well, now your back's going to hurt because you pulled Spider-Man 2 duty. Yeah.
I do know that Xbox is not afraid to put big games back to back, month to month. In 2021, they put out Forza Horizon 5, which was a massive game. And then the very next month, I think it was like 30 days later, they dropped Halo Infinite. So we're going to talk about how Hellblade could be that October game just a month after Starfield.
And that's the other thing. That's the other thing. And now there's the possibility of Senua's Saga in there.
Which we're going to get to in a minute.
So Sony's probably sitting there going, crap, we got 1 card to play and we got 1 marketing deal.
We're still going to make a ton of money, but...
No.
Everyone's going to be talking about Call of Duty and Starfield and Spider-Man at the end of the year. I think those are going to be the biggest games.
So where would you put Spider-Man now with this? Now that you have this, you're armed with this knowledge. You've got Starfield in September. You've got Call of Duty, which they market. So they're going to want to maximize their profit.
What's Call of Duty like right in the middle of November before Black Friday in the?
Well, we don't know. We don't know. It's somewhere in August, between October and November.
Let's just say early September for Starfield,
right?
Mid-November for Call of Duty. So where do you put Hellblade or where do you put Spider-Man in October? But they're not worried about Hellblade possibly being announced. Like they're not worried about. I don't think they're worried as much about bumping into Call of Duty. They think they know they'll be out before Call of Duty. I think it's just as Hargeet said. They want to make sure that 1 month of flux time or maybe 2 months that they can land in there no matter what. So maybe they're shooting for end of September because I think Spider-Man 2018 release the first week in September would be right next to Starfield. But maybe they know, we're we're probably going to land middle of September. You know, all of our projections are out to the end of September, but you know, we just want to make sure because we don't want to do what other games have had to do. So,
well, see, the thing is though, when they released the first Spider-Man, though, Xbox had nothing going on in 2018 at that fall that was of note. So they literally had no competition.
They had Forza Horizon 4, which was pretty big, and it released very close to Spider-Man.
I thought it was 6 weeks later. And they're different genres. Like I think Forza Horizon was a month. It was a month later, and the Forza Horizon was a month later, and
September 28th for Forza Horizon 4.
Oh, I thought it was October, end of October.
No. Okay, well, I remember because I put out a video comparing what the Metacritics would be on both of them.
This
Spider-Man was 2 weeks before. Spider-Man released 2 weeks before Forza Horizon 4.
Okay,
but Spider-Man doesn't. Insomniac doesn't care about Forza Horizon 4. Like you said, it's
that's
a different genre.
Game.
Yeah.
Now, here's the other thing. Does Sony have marketing with Alan Wake 2? They showed it at the showcase.
Yes, probably.
Okay, so there's another thing. You're going to have Alan Wake 2 marketed with Sony, Call of Duty marketed with Sony, and then obviously Spider-Man being a first party. And then you're going up against Starfield. You're going against Forza Motorsports somewhere in there. I understand it's a different genre, but it's still a big title, right? Yep. And then presumably somewhere in there, you've got Senua's Saga, right? And now all of a sudden you're like,
maybe.
Well, maybe. And then then you've got like the outside players, which still sell incredibly well. You still got an Assassin's Creed coming in there. That's a big title. You know, they sell incredibly well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They sell 10 million copies.
Assassin's Creed Mirage?
I don't know. Chad, do you guys know offhand? So, you know, that's the thing. So, like, you're looking at this, and now all of a sudden you're like, how do we get 2 to 3 weeks of just
middle of October
Spider-Man
for Mirage?
So middle of October. So now here's the thing. Sony's thinking, how do we get 2 to 3 weeks of just people talking about Spider-Man and taking screenshots and stuff on social media, whatever else? Because let's say you release that, and then all of a sudden, you know, they got another game coming out 4 days later. You know what I mean? And then Spider-Man gets buried in the mix. It's just kind of like.
But I don't think Spider-Man will get buried. It's pretty massive. It's pretty massive. Dub, who has been a channel member for 23 months, a shout out to Colt Mag and the chat. Do you want a more mature Witcher like Fable game, or would you like to keep the humor from the OG series? I do not want hand holding and farting to win the love of your life. But I saw a montage of the farting in the Fable games, and I thought there's no way that Playground is going to miss that because I bet you people just love it. Well, I love it, just love it. So I think that's going to stay. But I'm hoping that the people working at Playground have that really great British humor, like now, not like the old early 2000s.
There's nothing wrong with humor. Like, look at, for example, if you actually play, by the way, this will be the last time I'm wearing a Toronto Blue Jays jersey in the middle of a show. My Jays are losing 10-1. So I'm not going to wear this jersey ever again, okay? So everybody relax. Anyways, the thing is, Witcher 3, which had obviously serious tones and it was a serious, mature game, whatever, blah, 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 it had plenty of humor in it. Right? It had plenty of humor in it that actually I found a lot hence the term humor. I found a lot of it incredibly amusing where I was like, that was a really funny storyline, or I really enjoyed this, or that was great, or this and that, whatever. Right? So you can have all that. Yeah, you don't want to be like The Empire Strikes Back, but I mean, at the same time, like, yes, give us a darker fantasy.
Well, give us at least
with some comedy.
Give us a mix of maturity. Like there are some themes in Witcher that are like, that are pretty heavy. So and like who's in the chat says, gosh, it goes so fast. Alvin says, stop trying to turn our Fable into Witcher. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't need to be like Witcher.
No, it doesn't need to be the Witcher. And there's things about
Witcher that make it not the best game. So
no, I don't want it to clarify. I'm not saying it has to be like The Witcher. I'm just saying, you know, you could utilize different styles of emotion throughout the game, or even tone. You could go with funny, you could go with dark, you can go whatever. But like, I don't want childish. Don't get me childish. I don't want ridiculous childish.
I want to take big risks. I want to run into things that are frightening for your character at the level you're at, and that sort of thing. And I would hope that Yeah, that's what I said a long time ago when we were talking about this, Mag, that you need to treat it like a game coming out in the 2020s, and you need to give it that treatment and pay homage to the early 2000s Fable series, and then give it the 2020s treatment. And people may take that the wrong way, but I mean like maturity level and just like the immersion and all that stuff. We've got Lloyd C. Thank you for the 5. Says, what do you guys think we're going to get at the Summer's Games Fest? I wanted to go over this briefly because I think Jeff Grubb revealed that there are no big announcements from any games that are exclusive to PlayStation or Xbox. I also take that as there aren't any big marketed games that PlayStation or Xbox are going to reveal on their behalf. So I'm not sure if that's meant to kind of get people surprised and shocked, but I wanted to ask you, Mag, what big game would you like to see blast out of the gate from anyone at Summer Games Fest? Like who could make their big debut of their game that we haven't seen yet that you'd like to see?
All right. Well, listen, I'm going to get the two obvious ones out of the way immediately because I can tell you right now, Grand Theft Auto 6 and Call of Duty do not need a game show. They don't need a console, and they don't need like anything specific because they're so big that they do all their reveals on their own, right? So we can immediately remove GTA 6 and Call of Duty from that lineup.
I want to see GTA 6 at this event, even though they don't need it.
And you won't. Okay. And because you know the thing is, all they have to do is like they could just literally just open up a thing and just like with a cell phone and just go, hey, by the way, GTA 6 is coming, and the whole internet will melt. Okay, the internet will literally explode. It could be like written
on a receipt that was dropped and stuck to somebody's shoe.
Yeah, exactly.
And like Jokovic. Thank you,
that's
man.
It. The internet is broken for 72 hours. That's all they have to do. Call of Duty also same deal. I mean, a lot of people, you see people say it all the time. It's actually quite amusing. They're like, Call of Duty's dead. Call of Duty is still the #1 selling game every single time it comes out. It's not dead. It's dead to you. It ain't dead to the rest of the world because they still are the #1 selling game every single year it comes out, right? And
you sounded like Squidward just then.
Yeah, well, I kind of look like him. So now here's the thing. When Elden Ring came out, everybody's like, "Oh, Elden Ring's gonna that." I'm like, "No, it's not." I'm like, Call of Duty's gonna outsell Elden Ring in 5 days. And it did. Within 10 days, it outsold Elden Ring. So I'm like, guys, you got to understand. And it's not that I like one or the other. I'm just stating facts, right? So anyways, the point is Call of Duty does not require a game showcase in order to do that thing.
All right. What game do you want to see
showcased
and revealed that's been a long, long time coming? I know it's a hard question because you have to like materialize something on the spot.
Because the problem is because we're so fixated, we're so fixated with a lot of like the, exclusive to PlayStation, exclusive to Xbox. Like I want to see Indiana Jones. Yeah. Let's not go down that road. Listen, I want to see Indiana Jones. Okay. That's the kind of game that I understand it's on Xbox, whatever, and I understand it's coming from Bethesda, whatever, again, or Machine Games. But the thing is, it's something that it's something in the public conscience. The movie comes out in 3 weeks, right? If you're not showing it at the Xbox showcase, give us a snippet there. Which that doesn't make any sense. But let's talk about third party. Third party, I can't think of anything, dude.
All right,
I can't think of anything.
Yeah, I mean, no
can you give me an idea?
Rack your small brain live on the show, but
wow. Thanks, Colt. Can you think of a third-party game that's hot that some outside of a GTA 6 or a Call of Duty? Or
I want to see what Mass Effect 4 is. Like what?
I don't think that's anywhere close. I'm not even gonna bring up EA stuff because I don't think it's. I don't think that. Oh, he's left. However, hold on. Hold your horses. Isn't EA doing something separate? Isn't EA doing something?
I think so.
Because if EA still,
Capcom
I thought they're doing a little
Monday,
something.
I don't remember.
I thought EA is still doing something. So if they're doing something, we may see something from what's it called? The Dragon game. Why can't I think of the bloody name? Dragon Age.
You'd like to see Dragon Age 4?
I
Say it,
think
Mag.
we're going to see. I want to see Dragon Age 4, but here's the thing. I think Dragon Age 4. The reason why I'm racking my brain is because I'm going, no, that's going to be on the EA thing. No, that's going to be at the Xbox thing. Indiana Jones might be at the Xbox thing. Death Stranding 2 is the only possibility I can think of because Keeley and what's his name there and Kojima are like best friends. And I'm like,
I don't think that's
going to be there either.
If we believe no partnered stuff from Sony and Microsoft or Xbox and PlayStation, yeah. Ooh, Jedi Warrior says Splinter Cell. I mean, you could say for your own show if you're Ubisoft, but everyone is watching Summer Games Fest, so a Splinter Cell reveal there would be amazing. Amazing. Well, wait a minute. Why can't I hear you?
I'm not talking.
Oh, there you are.
Because I'm not talking. As soon as you say Splinter Cell, I have to like purse my lips.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So there was no confirmation there. He's like,
nope. No, I just go like this.
And I saw that. My feelings were hurt. Real. Johnny Southside. He says, I know Colt ain't talking about brains looking at his forehead. I mean, can you imagine? Look at this thing. You imagine how huge this brain is? My daughter the other day was like, can you help me with my homework? And she had all this algebra and geometry stuff, and all of a sudden when you have to take yourself back 30 years or whatever, and I was there, Mag, I was there, like I remembered it all. And I'm like, you got to do this, you got to do that, and I was like, yeah, I'm like, I'm so smart. And then you asked me about video games, I'm like, I don't know, Death Stranding 3, I don't know. Let me get back to this. We got thank you Lloyd C for Lloyd for setting us up on the Summer Games Fest thing. Hargit Johnny, like a half an hour ago, dropped Street Fighter 6 code for Xbox, and it was gone before he hit the send button. Grandpa's Barbecue Game Cat. I know, isn't he so nice? He's so nice. Grandpa's Barbecue Game Cat, thank you for the Australian 5, and thank you for being here and checking out Mag and I on the Show for Ecstasy podcast all the way from Australia. We really appreciate it. I know it's early-ish in the morning for you guys, I think, over there. So he says, does anyone think the showcase may be the time where they need to change their policy that games must run on the Series S as well? And I say never. They will never change that policy. And the worst thing about Series S, besides its RAM pool, is the extra effort and way too much time it takes to get the game acceptable on Series S. And that's just a reality we'll have to deal with. And remember, there are lots of other smaller pieces of hardware out there. Trell Roberts with the $2 says, Colt and Mag are in engine. Hit that like button, and he's got the thumbs up.
This is all gameplay you're seeing right now, folks. There's no CGI, there's no cinematics. This is actual gameplay. So if you want to know what it's like, I'm not even going to say it. It was just going to come out awful. I'm going to say, if you want to know what it's like to play with Mag and Colt,
I'll just start glitching out and T-posing. But we do the show at 1440p, so you get like the pristine, clear experience of all the resolution of the things and stuff. But we really appreciate you being here. We'd like to get up to 1,600 live. I don't know if you could tell your aunt to check out the show, or maybe, I don't know, your little brother that likes PlayStation. Bring him in here. Bring him in, sit him down in front of the show, and watch him go. And just, have a vein pop out in his head. I hate Xbox. Let's see. Highlander, thank you so much for the $5. He says, honestly, I think people will be shocked, especially the Sony fans. Be great to see if Phil will wear a Hold the Line t-shirt at the Video Game Awards. He will probably be at Summer Games Fest is what he's referring to before the showcase. And Hargit Johnny said he's already ordered the Hold the Line King David shirt, so he'll be wearing it that week. I always want to see what Phil will wear, but a Hold the Line shirt would be hilarious. But I think the rest of the world will be going like, what is that?
He won't do that. Yeah, he won't do that.
Probably won't. Udonic Izado, thank you so much for the 5. He says it'd be funny if...
Yes.
He said it'd be funny if a Banjo-Kazooie cosplayer shadows Cole all the night, talking that gibberish at the showcase and hanging around with him in L.A.
Yep.
How dare you?
Yep, I can hear it all night long. That stupid thing. You know what? Actually, I'm going to pay somebody. Seeing that I'm not going to be there, I'm going to actually pay somebody to follow him around. You know, like those ridiculous outfits that the people wear at the baseball games. Those the mascot outfits.
Yeah, I got a mascot.
Just follow Colt around. And just and the Colt's like, "Leave me alone! I'm just trying to go for dinner."
Some guy got mad at me today, and he's like, "You have so much anger against Conquer." And he says, "Conquer's a mature game, and it's literally like Call of Duty, and you're blowing people's heads off." And I'm like, "Yeah, but a foul-mouthed squirrel ain't really what Xbox needs right now, you know?" Bit for Naldi, thank you so much for the 2. He says, "One more thing will be Blinks the cat."
You know what? I would actually applaud that. I would applaud that. I would be so happy to see that as the end of the show.
It's been like 20 years, hasn't it? Jay the Earp, thank you for the $5. And it's got the Umbrella Corporation. There, I said it right. Umbrella Corporation profile picture. He says, "It was leaked to me that one more thing is a Gran Turismo movie trailer part 2. Oh, gosh. I mean, the PlayStation fans, they love to see it, don't they? Cooper with the Australian 5 says, "Hey, Colt Mag, great show. Can't wait for the showcase. I love a surprise reboot of the Project Gotham series, but it's unlikely."
Unlikely, because they got too much focus on Forza, right? So they're not gonna go head to head with their own studios. Yeah, they're not gonna do it. Like Forza has now become basically, I'm not gonna say the mascot because it's definitely not a mascot, but I mean it's basically become pretty damn close to one, like the face of the Xbox at this point, because they consistently release top quality, racers, right? I know that's not everybody's bag. It's not everybody's thing or whatever. I get it, obviously. And you'd rather see, like, let's say a character like, whatever, Master Chief or Kratos, or, in the old days, it was...
That's what Xbox needs. They need a front-facing character, because Layla from Redfall or even Master Chief has not been a front-facing character right now, at least not one that they want to put out front. But
and what's his name from Gears? That's, you have
Marcus, but they moved on to K.
Marcus
so
Phoenix. And
they don't have that character yet. But to Cooper's credit, Turn 10 should definitely be looking at Project Gotham and saying, what can we do to bring some of that into Forza Motorsport? If Forza Motorsport is going to become an enduring service-based game where it just gets updated and expanded, maybe they need to get a part of the team on something like that. Let's bring a street racing segment to the game and just blow it up.
Or they can do like they did back in the 90s. Remember when Twisted Metal was all the rage? There was a game. I'm gonna look it up when you're talking. There was a game that was competing against it, and it was the same thing. It was a battle royale car game, just like Twisted Metal, and it was the same idea. Remember. And someone in the chat will remember, and it was actually really good. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, how is this almost as good as Twisted Metal? Make a Twisted Metal like style kind of add-on to Forza Horizon and have that be a thing. You can add like Gatling guns to your Fiat, and then like, you know what I mean, and then go to war with all these guys in like a huge section of the map or something. That'd be awesome. I mean, and you know what? Twisted Metal's coming.
Some of that could be done for Forza Horizon instead. But yeah, Twisted Metal's coming back.
So why not do like their version of that? Like I mean, it's not like it's trademarked to Twisted Metal, right? I mean, just do your own thing and have your car battle royale thing.
I was playing 2K Drive, the Lego game, and I was having fun with it for a while, but then it kind of really got old really quick, unfortunately. I thought it was a cool game, but if it's $20, you definitely should pick it up, because even if you only play the first segment of the game, I think it'll be worth your time. But Eternal Shadow, welcome to Early Access. Join the channel member as well. Has the Starfield branded thing behind his profile picture. Matthew, thank you for the Canadian $2.20. He says new HoloLens TV attachment and handheld hardware, he's saying, should probably be announced. HoloLens, I think, is just not in the gaming scene anymore.
No, Steve? It's more for military and stuff. The military uses it, and then they're using it for behind the scenes stuff. Because I know somebody who has 2 of them, but he.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to say why, but he's doing work with them, and it's for something outside of that. But he has 2 of them.
He's
so I have actually
Minecraft.
had. Yeah, I've actually had my my hands on them before on the HoloLens.
Is it a nice piece of kit?
I can't.
You can't say.
No. Now Trevor Angelo was actually the first to say it. It was Vigilante 8.
Okay. I was picturing one of those 360 era racers when you were talking. Vigilante, yeah, that's I could picture.
Vigilante. I could picture Vigilante 8. Actually, a bunch of people after that, like all named it like Vigilante. If you look at the chat, you see a whole bunch of them down the line.
There they are. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
I see
so
it right
it's
now.
it's all there now.
That's what you can count. You can count on the chat to always know the stuff that we can't remember because we're old.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got Stephen Neves with a $5. Thank you, Stephen. He says Hellblade is going to drop Jaws yet again. One with photorealism, Ninja Theory, no doubt, giving their hearts to making it as amazing as possible. I want to talk about that game as well.
Yes.
Let me get through these. Bradley Klein, thank you so much for the 10. Says, would you be content if Starfield ran at 1080p on Series X or 720p at Series S just to get 60 with baked-in lighting? Absolutely. Like, I would be fine with 1080p just as long as that performance mode is in there. We are going to talk about that because people are hearing that know better than me. They're starting to feel like I think Starfield has a performance mode. We'll get into that in a moment. I'll blast these. Thank you, Hargate, for the 5. Says Call of Duty wasn't shown at the PlayStation Showcase. It's right. You know, they had the big marketing mag, and you were talking the big talk, but they didn't even show it there. He says it's likely at Summer Game Fest. Modern Warfare 2 was shown there last year. Hargate never forgets.
Was it revealed or just shown? Because usually Activision does their own reveal, like a separate, like they do a separate reveal, and then like
shown. I don't remember when that reveal was. I think it was much before.
Yeah, because I know that they usually have their separate events. They have a countdown, they have a whole thing, and then they show a trailer, and then they reveal more at at a showcase.
Yeah,
that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah,
so that's why I don't know. Who the hell knows? We're gonna find. Listen, we're gonna find out in the next 2 weeks.
I don't need to see Call of Duty at the Summer Games Fest, but it'll.
I'm
just be
curious
a bonus,
to see what they're doing, though. I'm curious to see what they're doing because remember, there wasn't supposed to be a Call of Duty this year. It was supposed to be just a very large DLC to Modern Warfare 2, right? They were going to add zombies mode.
Yep.
And you know why? I think it was because the ABK deal that they said, you know what? We're not part of Microsoft yet. Forget the DLC. We're going to release it as a full game so they can maximize their profit. Right? Because imagine releasing only a DLC for let's say $49.99 instead of $70 American, right? So now they're like, you know what? We're not going to be part of Microsoft by 2023. So you know what? Let's turn this into a full game. So exactly. Let's turn it into a full game, or at least the illusion of a full game, whatever they want to do. Slap together all that DLC and sort of form like this one thing, cohesive package, and they're going to turn it into a $70 game. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do with that because you know that's exactly why they did it. Right?
You know, speaking of that, I got to read a super from Dead Planet that I missed about a half an hour ago. But
yes.
No one will allow us to talk about Redfall because I was on other shows. Whenever it's brought up, people got really mad. But there was that report from Jason Schreier about Redfall, and we were confirmed something that Dealer Gaming heard like 3 years ago or 2 years ago that we couldn't tell the source of who it was from. We still can't. But somebody explained that Arkane, Bethesda, Austin, and Arkane and Machine Games were basically told by ZeniMax to hurry up and make a quick games as a service game and make a quick easy buck because they wanted to put themselves on the sales floor to be acquired. And so
because that would raise the value, right?
That would raise the value if they could put in a quick revenue stream at the end of a quarter, right before they could put themselves up on the meat market. And so Wolfenstein Youngblood, made by Arkane and Machine Games, Redfall was put into work, and Fallout 76 was like Fallout 4, crap together into a game. And it's just weird when you look at those studios, they make amazing stuff and they put out these 3, I'll just be rude, turd nuggets, right? Like they weren't at the caliber. And it's just so obvious. And it was something we'd heard for a while. And we talked about it on RDX podcast. I've talked about it here a few times, but it's just interesting that doesn't represent the Bethesda that has now belonged to Xbox. And so I'm looking forward to great things. And Bethesda is going to be showcased at this event before Starfield. So non-Starfield stuff, we'll get into that in a minute. Dead Planet, thank you so much for the super that I missed. It's a $5. He says, it's so tough not to expect this to be Xbox's Sony 2016 moment. I don't care what anyone says. That show went a long way to help Sony win that generation. And I'm trying to remember what the 2016 show was. I think it was when they talked about Spider-Man and God of War. And I think he's right. I think this is going to be a really big show.
Year of Dreams or something? Oh, and then they also showed, was that the one? Was that the big one? And then they also showed Last of Us 2.
Yes.
and Ghost of Tsushima. Like they basically it was like they went DEFCON 5. They just went like completely bananas and showed
and
everything.
now all those games are almost all the way out and over with. Like,
yes,
Dead Planet's right. This is going to be Xbox's biggest show in a long time. Like 2020 was pretty big, even though they didn't show gameplay. This was going to be really good. And by default, of all of the first party they show, all the in-engine stuff and gameplay, it will smear the PlayStation Showcase. And as the meme I was going to put up on social media, it'll be BoJack Horseman looking at his phone lovingly at Phil Spencer. Let's move forward. Joe Roberts says, do you think the Call of Duty wasn't at the Sony Showcase because Sony has been piling in with the ABK acquisition? We already answered that actually before we could get to it. But yeah, it's really about it doesn't matter. The ABK thing doesn't matter, and they could be at Summer Game Fest. Nate Candelaria says, hey guys, imagine a Rise Son of Rome 2 or new Killer Instinct. Thank you for the super, Nate. I don't think Killer Instinct is even in the works whatsoever.
No.
There isn't quite even a hole need to be filled just yet for a fighting game, even though they need one. But I don't think Rise Son of Rome 2 is in the works, but Mag and I have been dreaming about it for years. Right?
Yeah, no, we've heard. You hear rumblings, then they just lead to nowhere, and then all of a sudden you get a tip from somebody, and then you follow the trail, and the trail leads to nothing, and you're just like, all right, is this thing real or not? Like, what the heck's going on?
Yeah,
right?
I think it's just hopes and dreams. And Crytek's in a kind of a rough situation. Like they were facing bankruptcy, so hopefully that would be like their get out of jail card. Spartan 661. I got a couple more. We'll get back to topics. Thank you for the 5. He says, you guys are awesome every week. We enjoy every episode of the news you bring. The Xbox Game Show is going to be awesome, and we see more from you, and we enjoy it. Thank you so much. Like, we have talked so much about the showcase. We just want to sit down and watch it naked with the tablet in our lap. Boner Jams.
That's right.
With the
Speaking
5
of
says,
which.
Colt Northwood. Speaking. Great show, Mag. What can I say? Still handsome. Have a great week, everyone. And thanks to him. One more, Brian Kress with the 5. Thank you. He says, does Microsoft own the Lost Odyssey IP? I'm going so fast, I can't even think. He says, because with Square in bed with PlayStation, I would love a Lost Odyssey reboot as their Final Fantasy competition. Mag, I don't know as much about Lost Odyssey. It's not a game I played back in the day, but I know a little bit about it.
So I know a little bit about it. I don't know the logistics of who owns it, who doesn't own it. What, you know what I mean? If it's Square, I don't want to even get into their whole situation because like they are literally the prostitutes of the video gaming industry. Whoever throws the bag down, they follow that. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, you got money? Okay, I'm going to go over there.
They're in hot water right now because they are panicking about the low pre-orders for Final Fantasy 16.
I want to know what that means because I've seen Square's version of not selling well. Like, for example, they were disappointed that Tomb Raider sold 10 million copies. Are you effing kidding?
Well,
that's a disappointment.
They have lofty expectations, but the weird thing about them is they have certain games that do really well, and then other ones that don't even register on the sales records. They don't make the Billboard Hot 100 on some games, right?
Yeah.
But
by the way, the chat is saying that Lost Odyssey, the IP, is owned by Xbox.
Okay, well, I figured it would be. It's just been long dead for 15 plus years, I think. I haven't heard anything about it.
No, nothing.
Briefly speaking, Square is worried about the pre-order numbers, and I sometimes attribute that to when I make content, like, in the very first setting with the numbers, how well something's doing. They must have expected a certain amount of pre-orders and they're not getting them yet. But I don't know. I'm not really worried about it. It's their fault. It's a multi-plat IP. There are as many games on Xbox in the Final Fantasy series as there are on PlayStation. There's no reason for them to skip other than to get that bag, like you said, from PlayStation. Let's talk about Sarah Bond has been getting people excited, not telling people to manage their expectations. And she put out a couple of teases about Lord of the Rings. And I'm like, is she just a big Lord of the Rings fan, or is she trying to prime the pump and see if people are actually still excited about something Lord of the Rings related? Meg, I've got ideas of where this could be going. What do you think? And is Lord of the Rings still relevant in 2023?
Well, definitely not with the Rings of Power. Anyways, Actually, I already know what's going on because I have a deep source in Xbox that's already told me that Gollum 2 is going to be an Xbox exclusive coming day one in Game Pass, folks. That's right, Metacritic of 39. Gollum 2, folks. Confirmed. Here we go. Let's get going. We're going to be climbing Mount Doom as a little thing, whatever, a little spindly animal. Yeah, that's going to be... Anyways, I have absolutely no idea. I have absolutely no idea what's going on with Lord of the Rings. I know that they're trying to revive it because, well, Amazon is doing what they're doing and they're failing miserably. That's fine. Go do it. That car accident that's happening over there, go ahead. But they're also on the other side. You got Embracer Group has got it. You've got the Tolkien estate fighting over it. You got Warner Brothers now have the rights to do more movies with Peter Jackson if they choose to. And I'm like, okay, so what's going on here? So now, obviously, Warner Brothers Digital is going to look into it and say, why don't we do something? I don't think Xbox has anything to do with this. It's such a convoluted mess right now. Because then the people that made Gollum, I believe, are German developers, had nothing to do with any of them. And I'm just like, this is a train wreck. I have no idea where she's going with this, to be quite honest. For the first time in a long time, I have absolutely no answer for you.
Well, Monolith Studios is currently working on a Wonder Woman multi-plat game. Like, they could be working on something with Lord of the Rings, but that would be something that would be announced.
But is it Monolith WB?
It is WB, but Xbox has marketed Middle Earth War. Gosh darn it, Middle Earth.
Well, there was Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of
Mordor.
War.
What was the other one called? Shadow of War. I was trying to get the word Mordor in there, and I played both of them to almost near full completion. Gamer Bum in the chat said something about Monolith. I don't know, but I was speculating, could Sarah Bond be teasing this to generate buzz and pre-excitement because ZeniMax Online is about to announce a new IP they're working on, possibly at the Game Showcase on Sunday next week.
Really?
Or this week, I guess it would be considered. So insiders had claimed that ZeniMax Online was making a Star Wars MMO that is in the era of the Mandalorian era after Return of the Jedi. I think that's the time period that is. You get so mixed up because there's so many back and forths, but ZeniMax Online is possibly working on a Star Wars MMO, or the curveball was that ZeniMax Online is actually working on a Starfield MMO to be a spin-off companion piece to leave Starfield clean and pure as a single-player adventure game. And if people love that enough, they can go sign up to play that version of, or a certain version of Starfield, where you just go online and do quests and build up your character with your friends. And then it won't solely Starfield as its own, like Fallout 76 did on its own. But all right. That's a slight rumor, and I just have to wonder if this Lord of the Rings is tied into something first party. And when you look at the studios, ZeniMax Online fits in there, but it's a total guess at this point. And that's where Sarah Bond has been teasing.
It's a rights mess, is what it is. That's what it all boils down to. It's you got like 4 different competing platforms, all vying for the same concept, so to speak, right? And like I said, why do you think Amazon named it the Rings of Power? Is because they actually don't have the rights to Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay.
So they were able to access, and they were able to get the rights to like appendices and stuff that literally nobody cared about, and that's what they kind of built.
Middle Earth, Shadow of Mordor. It takes place before the rings were. I mean, that could be possible.
Like Gandalf is not named Gandalf. The hobbits are not named hobbits in the show, and all this other nonsense, right? And like they don't call them hobbits. They call them. There's another name for them. I can't remember off the top of my head. And then Gandalf, who's clearly Gandalf.
Hobbit movie, they couldn't name some of the. In the movie, they couldn't name the other wizards beside Gandalf and Radagast because they didn't have the rights. So that's a whole big. You're right. It's a whole big mess.
It's a mess.
So
and then
what
you've got Embracer,
that ZeniMax is working on a Lord of the Rings.
Well, see, this is the problem. If she teased a picture of that, why did she tease a picture of that?
Well, so she now said that the team was like the Fellowship that was working at Xbox. 1,500 people are here. We're going crazy about this Lord of the Rings thing because we're all big fans, but hit the like button if you're enjoying the show. Really appreciate it. There is information that Sarah Bond has teased 2 different times about Lord of the Rings. First, she talked about how the team at Xbox and the studios are like a fellowship. And she replied to me and said, our quest is long and our quest is great, or something like that. But then the other day she said, I was thinking about my favorite Lord of the Rings character, and it's got to be Legolas. And someone was like, are she teasing like a Legolas spinoff game or something, just trying to generate buzz for Lord of the Rings so people can like get that burning, like that fire in their gut. And then when it's on screen, they're like, yes, I knew it. And they're like, one ring to rule them all.
One ring to find.
I don't know. Let me ask the chat while you're talking. I'll just do it. I'll just ask. I'm going to say it first so I can type it. Do you think that Lord of the Rings, I'll do LORT, Lord of the Ring, LOTR, sorry, for Xbox is possible or is coming?
AGH.
Let's say it's coming.
Yep. I know what you guys were saying, and I understand. I see what the chat is saying. They're all saying, yeah, they're descendants of the hobbits. Yes, I understand that. The reason why they went with that time period is because they don't have legalities to use the name hobbits. So they basically had to scrape the back of the appendices to find what they were allowed to use. And so that's why they're not allowed to say hobbits. So they're like, all right, well, let's set it back to another age, to an age behind the third age. Right? Is it the second age that this takes place? I can't remember offhand.
I don't know.
Anyways, the point is they're not allowed to use the name hobbits, and they can't even use the name Gandalf, right? So they have Gandalf in the show, who's just like a mute, right? And just every once in a while, he just goes, or like makes some ridiculous noise, and then you've got the descendants of the hobbits because that's what they're allowed to use. So yes, I understand what's going on. I'm just clarifying. Because I think people are like, oh, no, Meg's, not knowing what to talk. Like, yes, I know what I'm talking about. I'm just trying to, it's hard to portray to 1,500 people exactly like what I'm trying to, you know what I mean? Like everybody's thinking different things at the same time. It's difficult, but that's the thing.
I guess I could have asked, do people care about Lord of the Rings? But Jesse P says, I was droning on about Lord of the Rings far too long. It's like, there's not ever too long. But I did say last week, that the Urukai have gone across this land unchecked. And it's funny because I'm not like one of those, I'm not good enough of a nerd to actually quote everything properly. And Mag and I don't know everything about Lord of the Rings. I just want to,
not everything.
Feet. I just want to know if it's possible.
Proud foot. Rodimus, by the way, she sold her Series X, but she still has a Series S. So that
Series S is awesome.
And yes, she's excited for the show. But yeah, it didn't make any sense. We had them in separate rooms, and she's like, this is a waste of time. So she sold the Series X.
If you've got a great
PS5
TV,
and then has a Series S.
If you have a decent or great TV, like Series S looks unreal. Like it's amazing what it does for $300. Shout out to Happy Bomb for becoming a channel member, who's also a moderator. So complete and utter power to just take this show down at any moment, probably. Same as Yodani Kazada. Shout out to him for as well being a great moderator here. He says, he says I owe money to Colteastwood, Happy Bomb, but yeah. Yodani and Happy Bomb have the ultimate power to shut us down when we just go on too long and talk about Lord of the Rings too much. But let me get back. We got a couple supers here before we get into. We're going to go through the list of games, make sure everything's covered very quickly. Timothy Struble says, "Thank you for the 5." He says, "Any chance we can get an expansion to the Xbox backward compatibility program? There's still quite a few games that I'm unable to play on Series X."
I haven't heard. When was the last time you heard a push about backwards compatibility? It's
I heard they stopped working on it.
I think they're done.
Almost 2 years ago. I think they're done.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's been years.
Jason Ronald said they'd ran into all of the obstacles with licensing and technical issues where they just kind of reached their end and they felt like they just tried just about everything and they did enough. They got some 600 or 800 games in there. Well, I mean, they got like almost 4,000 once you bring in the Xbox One titles. So they were able to get like 600 or 800 360 games, which is pretty amazing. Let's see. We've got a channel member, also Psychic Other M. Welcome to channel membership. And then Metal Massius, thank you for the 5, says, one more thing for the show would be EA's Fight Night with Gaz and Paris Lily duking it out in the reveal trailer. Oh,
I won't even be a duke out. Paris can just like fly swat him, and then Gaz is unconscious. That's it. It's over.
Yep.
It's pretty done.
So this actually just broke today. The next game, Everwild, VGC. Andy Robinson, who writes for VGC in the UK. I met the guy. He's so cool. He wrote that he's hearing that Everwild is being repurposed into a mature Viva Pinata type game in their open spiritual God creating world, which is something I said here on the podcast back in March of 2022. And I can't remember. I feel like you were on that show, Mag. I think you were. But I also had it in a video. Huh?
I said, was I on the show? That'd be hilarious.
I think you might have been in my memory, because I think you were helping me come up with the idea that, because all we know about Everwild is that you'll be able to tame beasts and animals and discover them, and you can use them to bring down resources like trees and rocks to build. And it sounds like that Rare is repurposing some of the great ideas from Viva Pinata into a more modern and updated version of a game that would be Everwild. Plus they're putting in combat to the game. So if this is true, this is really good news. Also with VGC reporting on it, there's smoke, there may be fire. What is the possibility that a game like Everwild that I said in the past couple of weeks would not even be showing at the showcase? Mag, does this give you an idea that maybe Everwild is ready to make another reemergence in the Gamers Update?
Sure. Why not? I mean, it's been years, right? So go for it. Let's see what it's been a couple years, man. So let's see at least 2 years. And then they sort of they say they sort of scrapped it, and then they sort of moved, but I'm sure they kept some of the assets from it. They probably just didn't throw everything in the trash.
The best I heard was they went back and repurposed so that they could add conflict and combat into the game. So I don't think anything got scrapped, but they said, let's go back. Let's take more time because we're going to add this. And this is what the fans want.
Right.
But if they're also bringing in some of the magic that people love about Viva Pinata applied to that world in co-op, Mag, in co-op.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could play any of the there's 2 Viva Pinata games, I think, in mainline.
There are 2. Yes.
Right.
There are 2. Yes.
Does that get you excited? I've only kind of messed around with Viva Pinata. My son actually will load it up and back compat and have a really good time. And
I know some people who really, really like it. Like I even last week, even Crab Gamer was talking about it. He's like, he adored Viva Pinata Part 1 and 2. And he's like, yeah, they're great games. He goes, they bring something like that back with Everwild. He goes, I'm in 100%. And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. Like back in the 360 days. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. It was pretty cool. So I'm like, hey, you know what? There's a fan base for it. And if it's something interesting, and if you could bring it up to like, modern sensibilities in terms of gameplay and so forth, something that, you know what I mean, that's more compatible with what we do now, go for it. What's the harm in it? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and make it, build it, and see where it goes.
Yeah, I talk about how I want more mature games, and it looks like Everwild is more of a mature game than it is a kid's game. And I'm trying to find this list here. Here it is. Red Monkey Butt in the chat says, sounds like a cartoony game. That's right up Microsoft's alley. Well, Red Monkey Butt's new to the Xbox platform. He hasn't done his due diligence and his research, because the majority of Xbox's games in the past, and they haven't had many games out because they've just built up new studios. But Xbox was notorious for having the bro shooters. They had Gears, they had Halo, they had Forza. So they were all rated T or M games. And they didn't have anything for a long time that was cartoony. But of course, Red Monkey Butt's thinking of the third-party games that they just partner with. So he doesn't know about Xbox Game Studios. That's why he's here watching XC Mag, so he can learn. He can absorb that into his brain and learn what Xbox has. Because when you look at their studios, which we're going through right now, you've got the Halo team, the Age of Empire team, Coalition, Double Fine's cartoon. They just picked them up. The Initiative, mature. In Exile, mature. Mojang, Minecraft, kids game. Ninja Theory, mature. Obsidian, they have a kids game that's grounded, but Red Monkey Butt, don't play Grounded because you'll pee yourself. It's actually pretty scary. And Playground Games, mature. Rare, they're in the middle. They do cartoony games. Turn 10, mature. Undead Labs, mature. And then you got the Bethesda team. All of their games are mostly mature, except for a couple things like Hi-Fi Rush. So, Red Monkey Butt, there you go. Thank you. We'll sign your certificate, and you can graduate today. Thanks for checking out the show. Hit the like button if you're having a good time. Mag and I are going to get back into this discussion about, I think we're done with Everwild. I think maybe they're ready to reveal, because I think it's time. 2 years is, if you go back to the drawing board on some things, maybe they need more than 2 years to do an update. But briefly, Forza Motorsport is going to show They said in a tweet that they're going to show some stuff about how the single player works. And then in Forza Monthly, after the showcase, a month or so after, they're going to break down some of the modes in the game and dial into that. Sports and racing fans can get into that as well. Halo just released the Season 2 information that's kind of leaked and been announced. But what are the possibilities, Mag, that Halo is ready to talk about certain affinities, new engine built Battle Royale to Tonka? Is that something you're excited about?
I'm kind of done with Halo Infinite. I moved on from it, but I would go back if it was something enticing enough to like go back to do it, and something like that. Why do they call it Tatanka? By the way, is that just like the code name for whatever? Because all I can think of is like. Okay, all I can think of is Dances with Wolves. Okay, so it just I see Kevin Costner walking around going to Tonka. Anyways, side note. Yeah, you know what? If it's enticing and if it's interesting and the community's like, hey, this looks pretty cool, and they go into it, I'll give it a shot. Why not? It's not like it's going to cost me anything. So I mean, I'm going to go in and check it out. And you never know. You never know. You just don't know what's going to take off. You don't know what's going to take off. What's not going to take off. You know what I mean? It could be the hottest thing. You know what I mean? It could be the hottest multiplayer of the year. Who the heck knows? But as a reveal, I would say yes, because you know what they just showed. What was it? That forest thing going on right now? Mm-hmm. The forest map and all that kind of stuff. They just showed that. Maybe that's a little teaser into what we're going to see. Coming up.
Maybe soon. I don't personally want to see a lot of Halo representation at the event. And I think either way, it'd be a couple minutes either way. I'm asking the chat right now, do you still care? Do you still care about Halo? And I know most people usually do, but I think some people might be more like you and I. They're ready to move on. There's other big things to talk about besides Master Chief at this point. So that's possibility. Yeah. Let's talk about the Coalition, one of the greatest studios on the planet. It sounds like Special Nick from Xbox Era was dead on. And that there really is a Gears collection. I know we talked about this briefly last week, but
yes.
At this point, it sounds like it's an eventuality. What really could be a win for the show, Mag, is if they show this Gears collection all rebuilt up for PC and Xbox, and then they say, and now let's talk about Gears 6. Is that a possibility? That's a possibility.
There's very little rumblings about Gear 6. I know Rand said something about it. He goes, it's been a number of years now. So it would be time, I guess, to show something. But they did say that they were going to take a little bit of a break, and I think they were going to release something first and then Gear 6, didn't they? Or are they just going to go with it? It doesn't mean they can't talk about it.
They sidelined their new IP that they were working on related to the Unreal Engine 5 demo.
Right. Yes.
And they've been all over. They've been helping Undead Labs, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And they've been helping some of the Coalition leaders were sent over to Arkane to help them with this. I think will be a 6-month patch for Redfall when nobody cares. But I don't know. Is Gears 6 a possibility? It's starting to sound more and more like it could be something they're ready to talk about at the showcase. I mean,
you know what? I'm saying if they're talk about the next, I think they'll talk about it next year. I think that they're going to work on this Gears collection and Unreal Engine 5, I think would be the focus. And then I think from there, and then I think next year you talk about Gear 6.
Okay.
It's just me. That's just me. No, I'm not saying you wouldn't do, but at the same time, you also don't want to play all your hand. You know what I mean? If you're going to show Fable, you don't want to show Fable and Gear 6 and Avowed and whatever else. And
honestly,
you know what I mean? And
it
Starfield.
Really would be too much, Mag, if
too much,
all of these things were ready to be talked about.
I know.
Including the stuff we haven't even got to.
Right. And that's what's going to, what ends up happening is that everybody starts going, and then when they're going to do this, and then they're going to do this, and then they're going to do this. And I'm like, guys, don't do that. You do it every year.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're going to say, oh, they didn't show it. I'm like, yeah, because you think that they're going to show everything. No, I don't think so. I think Gears 6 is another year away before they reveal anything. However, a Gears collection, I think it's time that they do something with that. With Unreal Engine 5, I want it to be stunning. I mean, like absolutely ridiculously stunning. Let's see what you could do with that. And then that should tide everybody over for a year or two. And then a year from now, you talk about Gear 6, and then a year from then you release it. That's what I say. I think there's no rush on that. But except the Gears collection, you got to move on that. And I think this is a trend, by the way, a great way to honor the legacy of all the different genres, not the genres, but all the different titles that you have and the IPs that you have all these, basically these sagas. You can create all these collections, like you did the Master Chief collection. You got the Master Chief collection. You can go have the Forza collection. Forza Horizon collection. You can have the Fable collection. You can have the Gears collection. You have the Gears collection, and basically it's an homage to all these different series that they've done throughout the years and through different generations, right? Of consoles, different console generations that have followed through, and just do something like that. Eventually, I'm not saying right now. I'm just saying these are things that they could do and archive for all time, so that one day you could just go to the Gears collection, go to the Fable collection, go to the Forza Horizon collection, to the Forza Motorsport collection, and on and on and on. But yes, right now, I think a Gears collection would be granted, because you know what? We could use a first-person shooter this year outside of Call of Duty, and first-person shooter, my God.
Third person,
what I meant to say was...
Javier said Unreal Engine 5, you went 30 FPS.
Shooter.
Javier says Unreal Engine 5, you went 30 FPS, laugh out loud. I don't know if he was talking with somebody in the chat, but the Coalition, they don't work outside of 60 FPS anymore. Not since they've had access to great hardware and software. I mean, on Xbox One X, I can't remember if the base Xbox One played Gears 5 at 60. I don't think it did, but Xbox One X certainly did, and so does the new consoles run Gears. So if you're looking at a Gears collection, it will run at 60 on Xbox Series X, and it will look phenomenal. And it will be Unreal Engine 5, and it'll have ray trace shadows, and it might have ray tracing lighting. I don't know, but
it's interesting. Gears 6, your the poll that you put up there, it's actually, I was
going to say that.
Yeah, the linear is ahead of the open world.
It's still kind of split. I asked, what do you want from Gears 6? Do you want a linear game like traditional? Or do you want something beyond Gears 5 and make it an open world action RPG? And I mean, for those of you who messed around with Gears Tactics, there are RPG gear elements that are really great, that I think are better than the actual game. Fold that into the new thing, I think it'd be really great. But people are kind of 50-50. 58% are saying linear, and 42% say open world action RPG. And I know, I hear you. You don't want some bloated open world game that just overstays its welcome. Somebody needs to strike the right balance, and some open world games can do that. So, yeah.
Lone Star, you're 100% correct.
Who was it here that said, let me find him in the chat. I think it was Cartel. I can't find him. He said Xbox is lazy. I mean, they're far from lazy. They are hard working. They've got 23 studios, and most of those studios are working on 2 games. Almost all of them are working on 2 games. And remember, they just bought these studios in 2018. So you can't get games out in 3 years anymore. They are kicking a lot of butt, and I think this showcase is going to show it. Next big game. There's a couple small games I want to race over. Stoic Studios making Project Belfry, which is a side-scrolling game. This is a game that they're partnering with Studio. Side-scrolling beat-em-up game. I talked about that last week. Aura History Untold and Age of Empires. I don't care. Wandering Tower is a tower defense game. I don't care. WuTang. This WuTang game has the lead designers from Mass Effect 3, lead designers and animators from Skyrim, Sleeping Dogs, and Fallout 3 working on a third-person fantasy RPG melee combat-based game featuring 4-player co-op from the main guys from the WuTang group. I'm like, what? I mean, we talked about it before, but I'm like, why? Apparently this studio likes to have different people around the world represented, different types of people represented. They want to show this rap group represented as a melee-based RPG. I don't know what in the world that is, but Xbox is poised to reveal that game very soon. Maybe it's at the game showcase. Meg, do you have any thoughts on a WuTang game that you've been waiting your whole life for?
Well, I played the WuTang fighting game back in the day. You guys ever played that one? It was the canceled Thrill Kill game because it was too violent and too gory. So they canceled that game. It was supposed to be like a 4-player version of Mortal Kombat. And it was called Thrill Kill. You could probably still find footage of it somewhere, but it was banned. Jeez. And they canceled the game. However, what they did do is they reskinned the game as a Wu-Tang Clan fighting game, and it was awesome. It had original music done by the Wu-Tang Clan, and it was good tunes too, man. There's 2 songs in there that they did were awesome, and I'm like, and the songs were in the game. So while you're playing the game, you got Wu-Tang doing their thing, and you got to play the actual characters. It was like, there was Redman, Method Man, Redman, sorry. There was Method Man. There was the Jizza, the RZA, of course, Old Dirty Bastard when he was still alive, and Ghostface Killer, and all those guys. And they were all in the game. And I'm like, this is awesome. So, anyways, it was a lot of fun. If everybody remembers that game, it was actually
they don't do that anymore. They don't do stuff like that anymore.
And it was
they used
gory
to back
as
in the
hell.
early 2000s.
Decapitations. Oh, dude, it was a gory. Check out the game on YouTube, Colt. Check out the gameplay. There was like full decapitations, like all kinds of crazy stuff. It was wild. Anyways, the thing is, if I got him Sofa King, that was really funny. Sorry, you brought up Pootie Tang, that movie with Chris Rock. Anyways, here's the thing: if you do this game, like what the heck is that Mortal Kombat game where it had Liu Kang and Kung Lao? Remember that? It was like the 2 of them. It was like a co-op action adventure game. It was not a Mortal Kombat game. It was not a fighting game. It was an action adventure.
Never brought this up because of the chat, but go ahead.
Yeah, and yeah, I know, I can see that. Anybody remember the name of that game? I think it was called Mortal Kombat Legends or something. And it was an awesome action adventure, whatever game. And it even had even some people are saying it was a cool game. The music was dope. Yeah, it was dope. Anyways, if they do something like that with the Wu-Tang Clan, I'm in 100%. Right. Let's do this. I say it sounds like fun. Put some original music in there. Okay. Get some tunes in, maybe get some of their the tunes from the back catalog too, like their bigger ones, and put them in there. Make the game gory, put a lot of lore in there, especially the stuff that they like to talk about and all that. Let's do it, man. I'm in.
It's so weird, though.
Shaolin Monks. Thank you, Darnell Hill and Angry Hippie. Shaolin Monks was the Colt. Check it out. It's called Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks, and it's Liu Kang and Kung Lao off on a bloody action adventure, and it was awesome. So, I mean, if they do that with Wu-Tang, let's go. Carry on. Next question.
It's so weird. How about this Overdose leak, which has it's supposed to be maybe the Kojima game that is partnered with Xbox.
Yes.
Where did I write that down? I lost it. It's got, now I can't remember her name, Margaret Mamali something. It's got the girl from Death Stranding, the brunette with the glasses. She's a main character. It's a horror-based game. It was recorded on a phone, and then put onto an internet by a phone. And it was her walking around in a scary place, kind of looked like an Evil Within, Silent Hill type thing. It's like a third-person action horror game that people think is actually Kojima's game. I'm not super excited about what Kojima's going to bring, but do you think the Overdose leak is actually legit?
I don't know.
I've mod of some game that
I don't know.
Put
I've been juggling with this for like a week, and I'm like, you know what? I've given up trying to figure it out. I'm like, when they announce it, they'll announce it. I'm going to take it out of my brain, just like Dumbledore does with the pensive. He pulls that strand, and then he drops it into the pensive in Harry Potter. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm pulling Overdose out of my brain and throwing it in there. When whatever is going to be announced will be announced, we'll find out about it. But until then, I've seen so many people going back and forth on this.
Yeah, and I don't think Kojima's game is making any type of appearance on Sunday because they just announced the partnership a year ago. So I just wouldn't think at all. And it sounded like they started talking to Kojima in 2020. So I think in 2023, they're probably not ready to show things. We're very confident that Avowed is going to be there. And I talked about Avowed on a different podcast, that it's a first-person Skyrim style game. It's more colorful than Skyrim. It looks like Outer Worlds if it was a fantasy game. It's got magic, and only Jez Corden has actually seen it being played. But you have melee weapons, you have magic spells that you actually move the spell shapes like a Doctor Strange thing. Also, I was predicting that Avowed would not have a first-person mode because Outer Worlds doesn't. But knowing what Obsidian has done with Grounded in first and third person, now you could totally play it either way and get the full experience. I think if you were looking for that third-person action-adventure open-world RPG, Avowed might tick all those boxes. I am 99% sure and certain that in my prediction and what we're hearing, that Avowed will make its big debut. Also, I am very certain that Avowed could be ready as early as that October 2023 timeframe we're talking about with Hellblade, or it's most likely a middle of 2024 game. But I said, gameplay. There'll be a mix of in-engine and gameplay shown. That's my prediction for Avowed. Are you excited about the fantasy RPG Avowed?
Sure, yes.
Those type of things in general.
No, I am. I enjoy those games. I could see that as launching in the spring of 2024. I think maybe not as late as June. I would say between April and May. That would be a great time to release it, right in there. Like, that's a good time to release a game. I think that'd be a good spot to put that in, because people are still going to be riding off of Starfield, Forza Motorsport, and then, of course, obviously third-party games. And then somewhere in the middle of there, I would say somewhere around December, you'll release Senua's Saga. Senua's Saga could carry you as far as the spring of 2024. Then you launch Avowed, right?
Yeah,
you give everything a little bit of breathing space and go through.
I mean, you and I would not drop Avowed next to Starfield, like a month or two away. I don't think that's a good idea.
I think people are going to be 6 months.
I think Starfield could be a 100-hour game, and Avowed would take most people about 30 to some. I mean, that's just a total guess. Like, if it's anything like Outer Worlds, as far as its breadth and scope and length of the game in an open world, I think that Starfield is probably going to take people double the time that they would spend in Avowed. So I am more likely leaning toward Avowed coming out in the middle of next year. And I also think it's very, very, very possible, like you agree, that Hellblade is also coming out next year. So Avowed and Hellblade will be the ones that have to compete for who gets to go first, right?
I think Senua's Saga's first, and then I think Avowed will be later.
I mean, that does sound like the right order, especially by announcement. It's crazy to think that Hellblade was announced like 6 to 8 months before Avowed was. When you look back, right? It's crazy at the end of 2019. So someone in the chat said, you guys are sleeping on State of Decay. I've said in on this podcast and other videos that I don't think State of Decay 3 is ready just yet. And Phil said,
no, I'm not sleeping on it. I think it's a ways off.
I think it's another year off before gameplay reveal or a new big update. But Paris Lilly asked Phil Spencer on his podcast, are we going to see Avowed, Perfect Dark, Fable, State of Decay, Starfield, like you said, all those things? Then Phil said, we're going to have big updates for a lot of those games you mentioned. He didn't say all of them. So when I look at, when I do the mathematics, I think State of Decay 3 is not quite there. Lady Foxfire's in the chat. She sends super, says, thank you for the 5, Lady Foxfire. She says, as a massive Gears fan, I love the linear they do. They didn't do open world properly, she says, and I don't like RPGs, but they can do another side game like Tactics. I want somebody really great to work on a Gears thing. And Tactics just wasn't it for me.
No, I'm not into those. I'm not into those games.
No, and I don't think a lot of people were big on Tactics. That's just weird. Like the RPG or the real-time strategy games or the turn-based strategy games haven't been as hot lately. Like back when XCOM was big, that was like the last breath of that. So I would like to see, I don't know, I'd like to see something new. Mike in the chat says Starfield's main quest is supposed to be 34 hours. I think 30 to 40 hours. I think that's something that Todd Howard or one of their leads said in one of those short developer interviews. Contraband. Okay, we're almost done with the list here. Contraband is probably a good prediction to be shown from Avalanche Studios, the team behind Mad Max, Rage 2, Just Cause. We don't know much other than, like I talked last week, I think I was using that word archipelago and we were looking it up, but we're bringing that up yet again. I think it's very possible that could make a showing.
I think so.
Here's the big question. It launched Doom Eternal at the very beginning of the global pandemic. Are they ready to talk about their next big thing? And why isn't it Quake?
I think they're going to finish off the Doom trilogy. And if they're going to explore Quake, I think they will further down the road. And I'm talking like 5 years from now.
Sure.
I don't think that there's any need to. I think you go with Doom, whatever they're going to call it. We'll call it for argument's sake. We're going to call it Doom 3. Yeah. Doom all right. Resurgence. Sounds great. Sounds hot.
I even made a fake logo and put it on my video last year.
There it is, folks.
Yeah.
It's Doom Resurgence. Listen, I think that what's going to happen is they're going to work on that first, get that out there, finish that trilogy off, right? I mean, not that they announced a trilogy, but I could see that being something that they would do. Get a trilogy out there, then focus on, okay, folks, what's next? Because they're not going to sit there.
They're ready to talk about Doom again at this showcase?
No,
because Bethesda is supposed to be there.
No, I don't think so.
All right, is Indiana Jones going to make us? Is Indiana? We talked about this last week. Do you think Indiana Jones is going to make some type of? It has to be an engine. It can't just be CGI. It's either gameplay plus in-engine or in-engine plus cinematics.
Fine.
What do you think it is?
They've had years. It's been going for years, hasn't it? It's been years since they showed the little CGI of him. They were scanning across the desk and all his stuff, and he grabs his hat and his whip. So that was That was what, 2 years ago at least.
I'm gonna find out when
you got nothing to show in 2 years. I think it was 2 years, dude.
I thought it was, it was 2 years. I thought it was 2020, which would have been 3. But it would have been 3. It was January 2021.
But still, you got nothing to show in 2 years? That'd be kind of weird. And then on top of it, you would want something to go out there so that people make the correlation between Xbox and Indiana Jones. And of course, with the actual Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny coming out 2 weeks later after the showcase. Right? And Disney's...
Yeah, Grim Jr. says, you guys already talked about Aaron Greenberg's tweets. Obviously, it's not going to be CGI. I know that's kind of what I'm trying to say with Mag. Like, if they're showing it, they're really showing it. Like, they can't just show CGI and say, here's the tone, because Aaron said they weren't going to do that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, Mag, if you're thinking if it's going to be a showing, then we get to see what it actually looks like somehow, other than that stupid desk.
Yeah, exactly. Other than the desk, I mean, you don't even have to show gameplay, but you could show in-engine footage, no? Of a pass by of over a lost city underwater or something like that, whatever the heck he's doing.
You know what happened to me today? I was thinking about. I saw a video where somebody was recreating Indiana Jones's diary, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot how that's such a ripoff. How Nathan Drake had the same thing. And I thought about the Uncharted series. I'm like, man, they just completely ripped off a modern Indiana Jones and in a good way. I really like it. And there's not much original about that game.
No, it's an homage to it.
But it's so good. And it's so good. And then Tomb Raider kind of did the same thing. Tomb Raider's always been the female Indiana Jones. And then the reboot was a mix of that and Uncharted. Is the Indiana Jones game going to be a modern ripoff of Uncharted trilogy?
No, I actually don't think so. I think it's going to be, you know what I think they're going to do? I think they're going to avoid that. Because they probably had the same listen, if we're having this conversation, they had this conversation when they were sitting around saying,
are they smarter
all right,
than us,
what are we doing? Are you crazy? Just get real. Anyways, here's the thing. What I think is going to happen is they probably sat back and said, you know what? Tomb Raider did their thing. The original Indiana Jones did their thing. Then Tomb Raider did its homage to the same thing. Then Uncharted did its homage to the same thing. Why do the exact same things they did? You know what I say they do? I say they go back and do... Exactly. I say they do a 2023 version of the 1990s PC Indiana Jones games. And so it was a mixture of exploration with the adventure. Kind of like Tomb Raider, I guess, but just a little bit, leaning a little bit more towards that, that darker mystery sort of Indy Jones kind of vibe. Maybe a little bit more violent, some more. I don't know, but they're gonna. It's a fine line they're gonna have to dance here, right? Because if anybody remembers the PC games, there was Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine. There was Indiana Jones and the Lost City of Atlantis.
Is this a side scroller?
Those are fantastic games. Oh, what? Indy Jones?
Is it point and click?
No, God, no. If it's point and click, I'm gonna.
No. I mean the old PC game. I'm looking at it. It's like a
no. Look up Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine.
I'm looking at it right now, and it looks like it was made by. Well, it's a LucasArts game, and it definitely looks like a Day of the Tentacle style. You're clicking around and interacting with things.
No, man. But Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine was an actual action adventure game.
Okay, let me look it up, and then we'll move on. Infernal Machine. Okay,
Infernal Machine.
But it was on the N64, bro. Yeah.
Hey man, it was awesome. I love that game.
It was on Nintendo 64. Oh,
yeah, I played it.
Wow, it's a third person. It's got the classic Nintendo, really heavy, harsh textures and and low polygon count. And I'm looking at Indiana Jones in a Jeep, which totally was ripped off by Uncharted 4 when he's driving around in the Jeep in the semi-open world. So there you go. There you go, man. Naughty Dog never had a original bone in their body. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I played
Indiana
it on
Jones,
PC.
okay.
It was fun, man. I loved that game. I adored that game, and it was it was obviously a product of its time. If you try to go back and play that now, it'd probably be incredibly difficult. But anyways, it is what it is. But if they do a 2023 version of those kind of games, like that style of game, and not so bombastic as Uncharted is, I mean, obviously there's going to be action scenes and things like that. It's going to be hard to avoid because, I mean, just like you said, Uncharted is literally the ultimate homage to Indie Jones.
It's a 20-year-old in the modern time just doing everything Indie did. One last thing before we finish up, Mag. What is the one last thing that Xbox closes the show? Is it an existing thing, or do they have one last big thing to reveal that we don't know about?
That's a tough one because, I mean, they've been so vocal.
What would you close the show with, Mag? If
I would me?
Yeah.
I would close it with damn it. No. I was about to say close it with Fable, but you've already teased pre-show about Fable, so everybody's going to know it's coming. Right?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of the people who are really like who've been like sniffing the Fable thing for so long are hoping to expect it. And many years we've been hoping to see it. If the very last thing is like an actual look at Fable, that could be big. Or would you, if you've got that one big AAA game that you're having someone make for you, like, would you end with Fable, or would you end with that big AAA game that no one knows about?
No.
What are you doing?
Listen, they ended last year's show. The one more thing was Redfall. Okay.
Oh, the year before, yeah.
Was it the year before? I thought it was last year.
It was 2021. Yeah, because they opened 2022 with like 12 minutes or 8 minutes of Redfall actual footage.
Okay, what was the
one last thing was the Starfield reveal, like a 15-minute.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Everything.
Yes, okay. Right. Okay. I got the 2 years mixed up. Anyways, I think you end off with either Fable or Pipe Dream Indiana Jones. Just a little something. You don't have to show anything crazy. Just a little something to give everybody that teaser of Indiana Jones as they, dovetail into the actual Disney film that's coming out in 2 weeks. So it's on, so everybody's talking about it. But maybe let's say that's not realistic. I have to go with Fable. What else could they possibly show? What could be the one more thing? What third-party game are they working on with somebody? We can't just fabricate a great AAA game and say close with this. But I would say it would be really great to say what type of game. Like if I say they open up with one last thing and it's a third person action adventure open world game, which are few and far between on Xbox. So like that would be good. Like it comes out, we don't know what it is. We learn about this new IP in that moment, and Fable could be anywhere in the show and still do really well. So Rick Payne says they need to lead with Fable, and I don't really have that answer. I think I want them to open with Avowed, and I would be really happy with them closing with Fable. Because after if they close with Fable and we get to see what the game actually looks like, and they're done, and then they say stay tuned, immediately following is the Starfield Direct, which is 30 minutes of, we didn't even talk about Starfield, and I guess we'll just save it for another time, or we'll just talk about it when they show it, because Starfield has literally showed you everything that is in the game: character creation, perk system, RPG elements, building, ship customization, ship combat, gun combat, some of the exploration in the galaxy map. Like there's not much left. So let me close with this, Mag. I would love to see Starfield Direct be mostly comprised in that 30 minutes of 15 plus 20 minutes of going and getting a quest, talking to the quest person, having that player make dialogue choices, go out to your ship, pick a location on the map that is for the game or for the quest, fly to there in the cutscene, land, open the bay doors, walk out like they did with the Moon Crete in 2022, and show us how you organically play through a mission. Like, just let us sit back and watch that, because they teased that last year where they showed us maybe 3 minutes of an opening mission. You got out of the ship,
you attacked into an area and it cut as the fight was really kicking off. But get us up to a real high point of a big mission. And don't do the Spider-Man 2 thing, Mag. Don't do where they show you the whole entire big set piece. Show us all this amazing stuff, and right when it's about to get really good, then cut to black and talk about the rest of the things you're going to talk about. And I think we have a killer Xbox showcase with everything we talked about tonight, plus that Starfield showing. What's the one thing you need to see from Starfield out of everything else, Mag, before we close up?
Exactly what you just said, because I just need to know what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, what's the reason. You know, what is the reason for this game to exist? Is there is there a universal catastrophe that's about to happen? Am I saving the galaxy? Am I saving the universe? Is there a giant bad guy coming on a giant ship coming to destroy the whole?
Will you have a ridiculous mustache?
What will I have a giant Cossack mustache? What are the reasons? Why? What is this game? What is this game? Is there like a like I said, like an Avengers level threat coming to destroy Earth, and you're gonna go save it? Or are you just farting around gathering plants? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I need to know.
There will be the gathering of the plants. There will be.
I know. But I mean, like, who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? Who's the good girl? Who's the bad girl? I know that sounds like something, sounds like a Saturday night conversation. But anyways, here's the thing. It's just like, at the same time, let's get serious. Yeah. I mean, like, where's the Atriox speech? I want to know who the bad guy is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to see this guy come in. I'm like, I am coming to destroy the planet Earth. So I want to know why I'm getting into a spaceship with a gun and I'm walking into this planet to go like blow stuff up. Why am I doing this? So I want to know
who wants
why.
To ruin the galactic economy and humanity. Right. Yeah, I want to know.
Because you're picking up a gun for a reason, aren't you? You're not just picking up a gun. Like,
why are you there? Like, did you hit your head on a moon rock and you have amnesia and you need to find out where your dad is and get the water pump working? I don't know, but I do know that everything you do in Starfield is better than the main quest, and that's always how it goes. We got a super here from Eternal Shadow. Thank you for the 5. He says, knowing the relationship between Sega and Microsoft, he goes off topic here. Knowing the relationship between Sega and Microsoft is so deep, look at Game Pass full of Yakuza series. I wouldn't be surprised the return of Condemned. Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, I didn't even talk about the Starfield controller. I actually had that in the listing. Starfield controller and a headset is completely legitimate. People have recorded video of them grabbing it early in the store. Some stores like, whoops, these aren't supposed to be here. Starfield controller looks pretty cool. Clear triggers, red back. I had a picture of it on the podcast a while ago. The headset looks cool. I don't need one. Somebody just messaged me on Xbox and said, you didn't talk about the controller. It was in my list and I forgot. But I'll say, out of all the things that we said that I have to see from Starfield, Mag, one of the number ones next to that big mission is we need to see that performance. And Phil said, we will see the performance. Jez Corden said he is getting more and more confident that performance mode is a thing. Phil has said things that have alluded to, if we would have gotten to Redfall as early as we got to Starfield, we wouldn't be in this performance issue. That tells me, along with all of the other things that say there's no reason why that game should only run at 30, that when I sit down, I'll say this one last thing. When I'm sitting there in the Microsoft Theater, or Novo Theater, whatever it's called, and I'm watching that, and if that thing comes up on the screen, and if it's 30 FPS, and I'll know immediately, in the first 4 frames, you're going to hear me yell in the audience of 500 people, fudge! and
I'll be watching from the beach going, hey honey, that was cold.
That was cold. And I'm going to have Sean the Bree record my reaction, because if I see that game at 30, that means we're telling you right now that game doesn't have performance mode, and I'll be so mad. And Aaron's gonna be like, we shouldn't have done this, but I think it's gonna be great. I'm super excited. We are flying out in like 2 days. We're gonna go to GamesFest. We are going to go to the Xbox Showcase, FanFest, and some other big events that I'm gonna be going to throughout the weekend. We're just gonna have a great time with all the people that I've met here. Thank you so much for being here for episode 105 of the XNC podcast. Meg, thank you so much. I wish you safe travels, and
and you too.
Don't sunburn your nether regions while you're out there. I'm so excited you're gonna have a good time.
Listen, I'm even though I'm the palest Italian on earth. As soon as the sun hits me, I just turn brown. I don't burn. I just go from white to brown.
You're like a chicken nugget.
Yeah, it's the strangest thing. Yeah, basically, yeah, just like put me in a deep fryer and that's it. I go from white to brown, so I don't burn. But anyways, listen. Yes, you safe travel as well. Obviously, we will not be doing a show next week. We'll both be in different areas. You'll be in LA. I will be in the Dominican Republic. So, yes, we will be away, but I'm sure we'll be back the next week, and you're going to hear all the crazy things that we're going to talk about. Not about our trip, but we're going to be talking about that showcase and everything else that we saw in the next couple of weeks. So,
yeah, and I totally predict that when we do come back, we will have lots of great stuff to come back.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Last year, it wasn't really that way. Everything really quieted down. I need to look at my itinerary because I could be home, like walking through the door close to time for X&C. So I am going to figure that out. I'll put out an announcement if I'm going to come home, drop my luggage, and then in an hour be able to do the show or something like that. I'll figure that out. I may do that show with somebody. If not, Mag's not going to be here, obviously. So
no. Are you flying
Mag
back?
Won't be here.
I'm
flying back Monday morning. So
okay.
Yeah.
See, that's like I'm not even like halfway through my trip at that point. So I will definitely not.
But
be
I mean,
back.
I'm going to be chomping at the bit to talk about it. So
sure.
I'm going to figure out probably tomorrow. I'd rather prefer not to be stressed and just to go enjoy the show, come home and relax. But thank you guys so much for being here. Really appreciate you. 1,000 plus of you who are listening to Mag and I talk about how our skin will change colors as we get out into the sun. But we really appreciate it. Thank you all for your support. We'll see you very soon. I'll see you on social media or forums, wherever you're going to be fighting with PlayStation fans or PC fans. It's going to be so great. Thank goodness the wait has been so long. We're going to get out of here. We'll see you guys very, very soon. Thanks.
Enjoy the show, guys. We'll see you in a few weeks.
All right, later.